Good evening. We're going to go ahead and get started with the Douglas Conservation Commission meeting. Tonight we're having the August 7th Douglas meeting of the Conservation Commission. First item on the agenda is the meeting minutes from May 8th. Commission, did anyone else have the opportunity to review May 8th?
No.
Aye.
I think it's the first time we've seen it.
I agree. This was the last time, this is ironically the last time that Tracy was absent and I chaired. I have also not reviewed it. Do we want to pass it on to another meeting to give us time to review it? Fantastic, wonderful. Moving on to the next item on the agenda. We have the updates. The first one here is from CRG 105 and 123 Gilboa Street, DEP 1431042, Ecotech proposal for environmental monitoring. Fantastic. We're talking about the Ecotech proposal for 105 and 123 Gilboa.
Oh, that's just a
Right.
meeting update from Art on the,
I would like that, yes.
yeah. So I don't know if Art has a, well, it's a standing item on the agenda, Art.
Sure,
so-
yeah. Art Allen from Ecotech. Jen Kuchar just emailed, said the funds were running out for the ongoing monitoring
Okay,
over at the
Oh.
so we have a new
I
one.
sent in an updated proposal.
I read that one, sorry. Yeah, that's.
Nope, that's okay.
Sorry.
Good.
I don't think he wants to give an update, but that's a funding mechanism that the commission
Yes.
just has to approve, vote on and approve.
Yep, and it's in our packet, so we can all see it. We do have to review, these are paid through the developer, correct?
What's that?
Yes, thank you.
These are paid through
The developer.
Art, is this based on a schedule from the developer as to how long it will take them to complete the work?
It's just an estimate. I really don't have any idea.
Are you visiting once a week or twice, or once every couple of weeks, or as needed?
Yeah, it's really as needed, depending on the weather and what the issues are out there. I mean, it's on average, it's probably been, every other week at a minimum, sometimes weekly. As you know, we had a pretty bad July, and
We did.
some issues leading up to that on the bridge construction and things. Yeah, I was looking at the records the other day. Weather Service Worcester for July was 12.3 inches of
Right.
rain. The normal, long-term average is 3.9 for July, so
Yep.
we're over three times normal precipitation. I'm sure there's a lot of people in this room who are well aware of the amount of rain we had. So. But yeah, so it's, the bridge is, I saw they were decking the bridge today over the Mumford River. The roads are still, unpaved, the building's going up, the stormwater basin's in, but not stabilized. They've got a lot of the perimeter slopes stabilized now, but they still have a ways to go. And they may even have some issues in the storms tonight, depending on how bad we get hit. So, yeah.
Okay,
I'll make a motion, we approve the proposal from Ecotech for continued monitoring of the 105, 123 Gilboa Street site.
excellent. Motion made,
Second.
seconded by Mike. Roll call vote.
Eric Harris, aye.
Jim Farr, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Mungem, aye.
Excellent, thank you. Next item We have Brian Keevan, 41 Pine Street donation update.
Yep, so I met with, we got approval from the language from the Mr. Keevan on what he wants on the sign. Sent that to him, he approved that. I took that down, met with Mr. Will Anderson, who's overseeing the Long Lake State Park. The gentleman that built our other signs years ago is still there.
Excellent.
And so he's on leave right now, so he won't be back for a few months. So we can table this. He'll come back, get the commission a list, an order list that what he's gonna take to build the sign. He'll do everything, it sounds like, except paint the letters white, which I think we did last time.
Okay.
So we'll probably take this off for a while until he comes back from leave, and then readdress it in the fall. But we've done what we obligated to do at this point. I know
Yep.
Open Space is looking at with Highway about the easement and the parking lot, but we'll try to get the sign up and ready and in storage, so when the time comes, we can install it when needed.
Wonderful. Thank you, Steve. Item 4 is the 115 Shore Road culvert replacement update.
Yep. So we have, Mr. Winter is here from Town Council also.
Okay.
Probably be overseeing this. I know we had an email from the Millers that had, that might be in everyone's package too.
Yep.
I don't know if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Hi.
So just name and address for the record.
Diane Miller, Shore
Glenn-
Road.
Thank you. Glenn Kabowski, EBT Environmental.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you're just looking for an extension because you're looking to do the work when it's dry?
Correct.
Yeah, because it's, July's the second wettest July
Right,
on records.
Yep.
Yeah. And yesterday was the first time we didn't see any water on the other side. So we're just waiting for it to be dry. Everything's lined up. It's just, we have to have dry weather.
Okay.
And what we might say, if we could through you, that the water table is still below when they dug the holes before, when it was just dry on the other side of the road, on the upgrading side. And we dug the first test hole to see where the inverts were, where the pipes came together. We still had, up just under the surface, we had water there. So it became a problem. We had to cover it back up, wait longer for it to dry, and then we did the digging to see that, to find those inverts. So we'd rather have it a little bit drier, and maybe with this short amount of rain and coming in the next few weeks, a week or two, we could be ready. Lemansky, the digger, is ready.
And the
Okay.
water table is going down, but it's ever so slowly, so we have to have dry weather.
Yep.
No sediment to the lake, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you. All
Understood. Thank you.
right, thank you.
So how does this work? Do we just, we're going to call?
Yes?
Well, if you want Brian to chime in from legal counsel.
Okay. Yes, Brian?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
What we would like to say is that
So,
we call them.
I don't know if I have too much to add to the conversation, only that, we're operating pursuant to a memorandum of understanding that we went through great pains to obtain, and so I wouldn't want to be the one to elevate form over substance here. If the project is proceeding in accordance with our expectations, then I would recommend we allow it to. And as everybody knows, we've had some particularly wet weather lately. And so as long as we're on the same page in terms of construction and design and, on the ground elements, then I would say we continue to let it proceed.
Okay. So would you be looking for us to make a vote on how long the extension should be, or should we just condition our extension?
I think it would make sense to probably build in a check-in so that it comes back to the commission, say in another 14 to 30 days, so that you can supervise and monitor.
Okay. Yes.
And we'll call when we know we're going to be watching the weather, and we're going to call, and hopefully it's in 7 days, or it could be 14, and say things have really dried up and we're ready to go, and we'll call ahead of time to inform you, at least a couple of days, a few days ahead
Oh,
of time.
Mr. Walsh.
Greg's Engineering is overseeing.
Yeah, right.
He does want to be there.
Yeah.
So that's what-
And call Matt Benoit, Community Development, during the day.
Sure, okay.
Okay.
A few days, obviously give them a few days to heads up.
But I would call Matt Benoit and Greg's Engineering.
Thank you.
Call who?
Matt Benoit, who's in town now, he's the planner, maybe?
He's the Director of Community Development. He
The
oversees
director of
department.
Matt, I know the kid. His father was in my class.
That's a new name in the
Yeah, he's new.
formula. Yeah, but that's all we're waiting for is the dry weather. We've been monitoring it week by week, and,
Understood.
Okay,
yeah.
Yep,
we'll make those 2 calls.
absolutely. Board, I'd still like to have a vote to make that official. I'll entertain a motion to extend their order at least perhaps until the next meeting for a check-in, and hopefully they'll have the opportunity to do it by then.
Yes,
So,
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mark,
I'll second it.
seconded by Mike, roll call vote.
Jim Farn, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Mungem, aye.
And if you don't get to do it by the next meeting, we'll talk about it again.
Thank you again.
Next meeting is
2 weeks.
2 weeks, 14 days,
You're meeting in 2 weeks. Thank you.
correct.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So at this point, you essentially have an extension for 14 days.
Thank you again.
And if it doesn't get done by then, right, then we'll visit it again. Excellent, thank you. Item 5, possible violation on Lake Share Drive of stormwater management. I want to start with Brian, or
Yeah.
start with Brian Winter?
So I can,
Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead. I can provide, I guess, a little bit of an update from my perspective. We've had some conversations about some issues over there from a conservation perspective. And there is a draft order in the works that I provided some comment and suggestions on that I believe in the very near future will refine and at some point issue. I don't think I would be the right person to give an update in terms of what's actually happening on the ground. I know secondhand, obviously, from your officials, Mr. Zisk in particular, who's provided me, videos and photographs of the circumstances over there. One thing I will note is that due to 2 sort of urgencies, I'll say. One is the situation on the ground, and the second is that the development is in a state of progression as well. That if the commission wants to address the ongoing issues there, now is the time. When lots get sold, when things start to change, this is going to become much more complicated as that development gets built out and there are real estate transactions, new parties being added to this equation. So now is the time to really focus on what you want to see happen over there and to get appropriate correspondence out. And so I have made myself available and will continue to, so we can refine that and get those notices out the door.
Mr. Winter, aren't we kind of limited in what we can do because it's outside of the Conservation Commission jurisdiction, being more than 100 feet from the water?
So normally, the answer to that would be yes. But if activities outside of resource areas and buffer zones are in fact altering resource areas and buffer zones, that gives you jurisdiction. So it's not prospective. We can't look into the future and assert jurisdiction over upland activity that we think maybe one day would have an impact. But I have seen what's pretty clear evidence that there is stormwater running right down that road, all the way down, containing all kinds of silt and just making its way right down to a bend in the road, over a rock/retaining wall, and down right into towards the resource area. So I would rely upon and have to defer to, Steve and other people who have seen this firsthand and can make more expert opinions as to what's really going on out there. But the mere fact that the source is outside of the buffer zone is not the end of the story. And so, for example, we deal with this with point source discharges all the time, right? If the pipe that's, releasing all the water is at 150 feet, but all the water is going straight into the buffer zone and then straight into a pond or a BBW and polluting that, then we would assert jurisdiction over that.
Thank you.
Clarification.
So, yeah, so the videos and stuff were the ones that were sent by Mr. Mooring, and then he came in the last meeting to update, and gave he requested at the last minute on the meeting the last meeting to come in that Monday. He had sent some videos.
Okay.
They didn't have a report. I think his consultant showed up. They kind of gave an overview of what was happening. So
I was going to say, I'm reading the letter of July 24.
yeah, so the commission asked that, he said he'd submitted a report. I believe the commission was waiting for that report, which
Okay.
was submitted. It was submitted to everybody, to legal counsel, to Mapanoid. So a lot of this is getting channeled through because it's planning, building commissioner, community development is getting spearheaded by Mapanoid, again, the community development director. So all emails and correspondence probably go through him. As we got the report from him, the town also hired Ecotech to do an assessment of the area, and you'll see his report also.
Yes, I did.
For the commission.
Yeah.
And then today we just got another email. We just got another letter from
Yep.
Mr. Murphy. It came in like 5 o'clock tonight.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm looking at that. Could I get an update from Art with that? Absolutely. Can you talk briefly about what you've talked about in your memorandum?
Sure.
Obviously, name and address for the record.
Art Allen from Ecotech, 102 Grove Street, Worcester, Massachusetts. I did go out on August 2nd, walked the roadway, observed the lots, and went down to the shore of the pond, Manchog Pond. The road had been somewhat regraded, or largely regraded, but I had seen the earlier documentation that was submitted, the videos and things during the event, and clearly the upper part of the road still had some of the gullies present, but the area where it washed into the lake at 56 Lakeshore Drive, you could clearly see the gullies, sediment deposits all the way down and into the lake. I submitted some pictures. You can see fresh sediment basically right below the bank, inland underwater. So clearly, there's been an after the fact impact to resource areas from the erosion outside the resource areas. The lots up above, the ones that are really open and unprotected, they do not appear to drain onto the road at this point. The lots on the uphill side of the road that are cleared, they really haven't been significantly disturbed. At this point, I don't believe the lots are directly contributing to the runoff on the road. It seems to be mainly the road, because it's steep, it's gravel, it goes down, takes a sharp bend just before it gets to the pond, and at that point, that's where, when it hits 56 Lakeshore, that's where it, the runoff leaves the road and goes right down through the buffer and into the pond. So,
Okay.
But in the future, there's certainly the potential for those lots as they get opened up, if they're not
Developed, yeah.
protected, that they would also contribute to that issue. I had just said that, essentially the road needs a more permanent stabilization, and control of runoff. There's also some impacts, at 56 Lakeshore that really should be mitigated. the scouring and erosion in the buffer leading down to the pond, and then the sediment deposits that are actually in the pond. There's no BVW right in that area. It's really kind of buffer, bank, and then right into the land underwater under the pond. But clearly, the buffer and land underwater has been impacted.
Okay.
And there's some restoration that could be done down there, but, you know, essentially, the stabilization really is the most important thing, and yeah. So, and then it's, you know, it's basically on the lot owners as they, you know, go more into construction and open up, especially those lots on the uphill side of the road that could also, you know, contribute to the problems.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Art, very much. Much appreciated. So then I was going to ask, because I do have the letter from Robert Murphy. Is Robert Murphy online or in the room to speak to this letter?
He couldn't be here tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, and then just, I did get some, to close out, I did get some emails from Cahill's late today.
Okay.
Wasn't able to do anything with it because it came like within an hour ago. but
Okay. So,
They might be here to talk about it.
all right. Yeah, I'm just looking at this letter, and I'm not seeing anything in this letter that speaks to restoration or stabilization.
I did forward the Cahill's emails to the commission.
Yep, I hadn't looked at it yet either.
Are they printed?
I can go print them if you, let me go, I think they're more pictures, but let me see if I can go print them for everybody real quick.
This is.
Well, when did they come in? Today?
Yeah, this afternoon.
It's so late.
Right, I would have to read them right now.
Hi.
Yeah, that's not fair to us to
So-
get something on the same day or night.
So, that is the follow-on question, I guess, that I'm looking to the board is this considered a violation? Do we want to issue a violation?
Oh, we should talk to Brian.
Yes.
Okay. Brian's busy for the moment, but we'll get him.
I was listening to every word.
Thank
But
you.
also, as I stated before, I think, again, time is of the essence here. So to the extent that the board, the commission does want to take action here, I think there is jurisdiction. I think that now is the time if you're going to do it. I think in the very near future, this is going to become a much more difficult problem. And so if the commission is in support of doing it, I think we need to move quickly.
Okay. It does look like from this letter, and this is what I have to go on without the representation, is, you know, it's heavy rainfall. You know, they're saying that they were holding up until last fall, and now they're saying that whatever restoration effort has to be a combined effort from several abutters. They're kind of looking at, you know, the surrounding area as being part of the problem. But I don't see anything in this letter that suggests that the Cahills or Lakeshore Drive would be against, you know, a restoration effort or working on some stabilization.
But maybe, I mean, I know you
Yeah.
want to just read the Cahill's email. I don't know if did I send that to you? I don't know if you want to read that at all, but.
Probably. I don't see it. I only see where you forwarded me this letter.
That's all I saw tonight, too.
Lakeshore Drive.
Okay. Also, while I'm here, I'm going to ask for clarification from either Brian Winter or Art. I'm seeing the terms Lakeshore Drive and Lakeshore Road both used. Are those used interchangeably for the same purpose, or is drive referring to a driveway and road referring to a roadway? Art.
It's labeled Lakeshore Drive, so
Okay.
that's what I would.
Okay. The subject of your memorandum was Lakeshore Road. So it's just making sure that the terminology.
That's my mistake.
Okay. Nope, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure we were talking about the same thing and not, you know, two potentially connected
Yep,
spaces.
that's a
Okay.
typo.
Oh, thank you. So it is Lakeshore Drive.
I went out and looked at the road a week or so ago after one of the last rainstorms.
Yeah.
I just wanted to observe what what was happening there.
Yeah.
And I would agree with Art that, the existing lots that are there now that have been cleared do not contribute silt, but are contributing more runoff, I believe,
Yeah,
because of being in a cleared state rather than having all the trees that were there.
yep,
And the morning that I went by there, they were trying to repair the erosion by, using a skid steer on the road, which is, they're roughing it up and loosening it up, and so the next
Correct.
time it rains, it's going to be washed again. So it's just a reoccurring problem. And, I would be in favor of a violation order myself.
okay, understandable. Yeah, I noticed that the letter called out the use of high-torque all-terrain vehicles, but I would imagine any vehicle that's roughing up the surface would be problematic, and so that roadway is going to need some stabilization there.
So I forwarded, let me bring them up, because
I have it. There's a letter here from a review of Lot E suggesting that none of the gravel or silt was coming from Lot E, which is consistent with what we've been hearing. The gravel isn't coming from the other lots, but the fact that they're
No.
cleared may be a contributing
The
factor.
parts that fact that they're cleared is contributing to the amount and volume of the water coming down the street.
But I'm reading the email, Steve, and it says that there's no runoff coming from Lot E, and I can agree that we don't have runoff coming from the other lots, just the fact that they're cleared is a factor.
And like the first few lots, the house that's being built on the right-hand side, the water from there doesn't get to the plus point on the road where it runs down the road and across 56 and into the lake there. Because that water is going across the road and into the woods across the street.
Okay.
So that water is going to be a problem, as it is for the first house on the left right now, where the water comes across the street, runs down their driveway, up against their garage. That's not a good situation for that landowner, but it's not necessarily
It's not
directly
this one.
impacting. Right.
so here's the photo from Lot E that we sent
Okay,
today.
I can see that it's cleared.
Can this screen be moved?
Yeah, well, the trees are cut, but it's not clear. It's not stumped, right?
Sorry, yes.
There's one little tiny cart path that goes up the center.
Can you go name and address for the meeting?
My name's Dave Cahill. I own Lot E.
Okay,
I've known it for 46 years, so I hear all this stuff.
yep,
A lot of it's common sense, but a lot of it's not true.
okay,
Okay, that's why I just want to wait for my turn to speak. I think I'm on the agenda anyway, but
okay,
when it's my turn, just let me know.
all right,
Thank you.
thank you.
I don't think they sent the video too, I don't know if you want to see that, or...
Is it the video of the runoff on Lake?
It's from the Cahills, from what they sent today, just earlier today.
It's just,
Because I printed out the other information.
Oh, I see, you sent it to, yeah, I see that you sent the videos. Do you want to look at that now? Do you want to show that now?
well,
Yes,
I don't think it's really relevant
Okay.
to the situation I'm here for.
all right.
I'm on the agenda, but should I speak now or should I?
Where are you on the agenda?
Well, I'm on the same.
I think this is your agenda item.
This is your agenda item, so if you have something that you can come up and speak if you want, or,
I'm Mark Wickstrom, I'm Mr. Cahill's attorney.
excellent, thank you.
So, first of all, last week I got several calls about Mr. Moran coming into a meeting and saying 9 cubic yards of material came off Lot E.
Okay,
That's why I'm here. That was a blatant lie. That's one reason I'm here. The other reason why I'm here is I have Nick here, I built a house, I'm building a house over there now. We have some runoff going over. Nick and I have an engineer right now designing a drainage situation, the one you were just talking about with the garage. So that problem's going to be rectified. So the first 1,500 linear feet of the street,
Okay,
is going to be just the way it should be.
okay,
Bad S-curve down there that, needs a culvert in there to get the water from the high side to the low side instead of taking the road away. But I'm not doing it, because he's just going to be nothing but complain and bitch and moan and video me, and it's just a sad situation, They just drive him down the road videotaping, and it's just, it's just sad. I could turn,
so what,
So with regard to the, to the situation that the board is here for the
Yes.
runoff into the pond, I think it's important just to sort of clarify the title to the property, which I think town council was started in on. Mr. K, so this is a private way, and the road,
Ledgestone Drive is a private way?
Lakeshore.
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 Thank you.
Lakeshore Drive is a private way.
Lakeshore Drive is a private, okay, yep,
And so the homeowners own to the middle of the road on each
Yep.
side. So Mr. Cahill's ownership starts at Lot E
okay,
at this point. When Lot E was created in a 5-lot frontage plan.
okay,
So there's lots A through E. And at the time, the planning board asked Mr. Cahill to form a homeowners association for those lots. So with regard to the ownership of the lots A through E, the homeowners association owns to the middle of the road.
there is there indeed an association associated with Lakeshore Drive?
Portions of it.
Okay,
Just the lot, just the frontage in front of lots A through E.
Okay.
Those 5 lots, and then there's 2 other lots that are part of, so there are 7 lots that are part of the homeowners.
so the lot you're speaking for is Lot E, and it's
That's-
associated half road and frontage?
That's the one closest to the lake.
Okay,
And so Lot E is, Mr. Cahill owns it. Lots D, C, and B have already been sold to other people who are going to build houses.
yeah, okay,
Lot A, Mr. Cahill is under agreement, should transfer fairly soon.
okay,
So that's sort of the status of the title, and if there were a violation, would have to be determined who it's going to go to, I guess.
exactly.
understood.
Yep.
Nope, I
We just wanted to
appreciate it.
Want to make it clear to the board and town council, and if they need to give me a call to
Yeah,
talk about the title to the various lots, that you can certainly
much appreciated.
do that. Yep.
So just take a moment, Brian, is that concurrent with your understanding of ownership of properties?
We're already aware of the situation that council's mentioning, and so we are reviewing and monitoring just that. And forgive me, but I didn't hear council introduce himself,
Sure.
or if he did, I missed it.
Yep, Mark
So-
Wickstrom.
I'm sorry?
Mark Wickstrom.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Good to see you. Yeah.
Likewise. I'm happy to communicate with council if the commission is okay with that,
Yeah.
and we can discuss it a little bit further offline.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess our request would be to make sure if you're going to issue something that it's to the right people.
Understood. Understood, absolutely. Board, are we looking for, yeah, go ahead, Brian.
For the chair and for the benefit of the commission, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're absolutely watching that.
Okay.
And all emails should go to the community development director, Spirit, funneling everything through him.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
I'm sure it's on that. Okay. Board, do we have any questions for Cahill or council? No, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to, like I said, the first 1,500 feet of the road is going to be getting drainage designed now, widened it after that.
Okay.
You know, that's up to them.
So then will you have a filing associated with that work? Because I imagine if
Well-
you're the last lot, you are jurisdictional.
No, it's about 1,000 feet from the,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Quite a ways.
No,
Yeah.
that's fine.
right.
Yeah, just,
And the one he's talking about with the other is the, you're talking about lot 4, right?
yeah.
That's way up,
Okay.
that's way up by.
That water-
Nope, then if you're not
By Northwest
jurisdictional,
Main
then
Street.
I wouldn't
That
see a
water-
filing.
That water doesn't
Not,
get past,
but it all ends up in the lake.
not lot 4.
All the water ends up in the lake at some point. So we
Well-
just have to be, with what Mr. Winter said, was we got to look at this globally as the whole area. And therefore, you know, if they're planning stuff up above, we don't want that to all of a sudden be the part.
Become the
sorry,
problem.
Becomes the problem, because they're
it's-
creating point charge, discharges on the downhill side, and that's closer to the lake.
But
So-
it's not going to happen the way we're going to do on the upside. We did it at my daughter's house, the first house. We created a culvert.
So would we request to see that plan?
I think if we say that there's been a violation and have an enforcement order, then yes, I think then we become part of the
Okay.
solution. But
Okay.
if we don't do an enforcement order and don't say that there's been a violation, then no, we're not going to become part of the solution.
Okay.
We will submit a plan, though.
To Conservation
Yes,
Commission?
yes.
Okay.
Look, we-
Thank you.
Yeah, well, my engineer's doing it, Nick and I already talked about it. We're
Okay.
going to come to the meeting, submit it
All right.
in a proper manner.
Thank you. So back to, yes, Steve? Okay. So back to issuing a violation for the property that we are talking about. Yep.
What one are we talking about?
Well, that's the, I think they're here too, but I would talk, Attorney Winter probably, if they're, just maybe want to explain between the violation and enforcement order, what his recommendations might be on that.
Okay. Attorney Winter?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, the audio keeps coming in and out, so I think I heard a question as to what is, in fact, the subject property. And unless it's crystal clear, and we can zero in on 1 or 2, et cetera, and issue specific enforcement orders, then we're going to cast a wider net, and we're going to be over-inclusive rather than under-inclusive, because the solutions may ultimately include sort of a multifaceted approach. Maybe they're more specific to individual properties, but until we can get a really strong handle on that, then we're going to have to cast a wider net. So it's likely that we will err on the side of caution and issue appropriate orders to any parcel owner or owners that we feel could contribute to the solution, or to flip that coin over, might be contributing to the problem. And so it's better, in my experience, to get everyone at the table who may be able to contribute to a solution, rather than inadvertently exclude people that might fall into those categories.
Okay.
So that would be my approach.
So how do we phrase a motion tonight to do that? Because I'm really unclear when we're talking multiple property owners and a roadway which is half owned by some people on one side and half on the other. How do we phrase that motion?
You would support an enforcement order or orders as to any of the properties affected by the stormwater management issues concerning Lakeshore. And you would vest some discretion in your staff and myself to more specifically identify those parties or party in the drafting of the enforcement order.
Okay. Thank you.
So moved.
And/or, I would add, and/or
Before a motion is made, do I have a chance to speak?
A name and address for the record. Yep,
Robert Moran, 56 Lakeshore Drive.
yep,
So, I mean, you want me to come to the microphone?
sure.
Quick, though, I would add consultants, consultants can help with the drafting of the,
Oh, for sure. Agreed, agreed. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. And for the record, Robert Moran, 56 Lakeshore Drive. I am the individual who reported this originally, and I'm not an attorney or an engineer, but in a 35-year career with National Grid, I've brought utilities and infrastructure to about 1,000 properties, including dozens of residential developments. So I have a little bit of familiarity with this. I'm only here to make a few simple points. Lakeshore Drive does not drain, and it hasn't since we went in as residents 3 years ago. We have communications, text messages, back and forth about problems on the road. And really what's changed is in the last 6 months, since the properties have been cleared and no apparent stormwater management has been implemented, the water flows have increased significantly. And I'm just a down gradient property owner watching the road cross my property into the lake, which is the concern for all of us. So not knowing exactly what to do, we hired a consultant to look at it, and when we realized what had gone on, we were rather alarmed at the extent of the sediment into the lake.
Yep.
And that's how this process got started. So I would actually ask Paul Knappich, the consultant, to come in and just speak maybe more technically to what he observed.
Okay, excellent. I would welcome him to speak as well.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Absolutely. Again, name and address for the record.
Paul Knappich, wetland scientist. There's not much more I can add than what's already been said. I agree with your town council in that it's up to you to decide whether there's been an alteration of resource area and therefore, issue an enforcement order or similar. Based on what I observed, I agree with Arthur Allen that, there has been a violation or an alteration of a resource area, land underwater, based on the evidence that I saw in the pond, the scouring. I visited the site on July 17th. I saw the video that Mr. Moran also provided the commission. And I think the issue comes down to controlling the runoff from the road. The road is essentially the conduit that brings everything down to the lake.
Okay.
And things are, because trees are cleared, the runoff from those lots, even though there's no sediment load per se coming from them, there's more flow coming to the road, and then obviously more flow, more velocity, more scour. So the issue, in my opinion, is with the road. Whoever that responsibility lies with, the road drainage needs to be corrected to, shed it off appropriately as country drainage and not allow it to run straight down the hill right into the lake.
Understood. Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion, and we've added to the motion that Mark made that we also wanted to be able to that we could, let's start back with what you had just said, Steve.
consultants, you add consultants to the ability to help town council with
Okay.
drafting the enforcement order.
Absolutely. So we're looking to issue enforcement orders in this case, and to anybody who can be part of the solution. So I would appreciate if anybody wanted to second that motion.
Second.
Seconded by Mike, motion made by Mark. All those in favor?
Jim Farn, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Mungem.
Thank you. So yes, anybody who's part of the solution will see an enforcement order. Understood that many of the parties are already underway working on what their plan forward is going to be, and we'll be happy to look at those. All right. Next item on the agenda, on item 6, possible violation for BWC Whiten Reservoir, 45 Oak Street. For this one, again, I think maybe I want to start with town council.
I'm happy to lead us in. So, I was approached by your planner and conservation agent about some issues that are being experienced with respect to this parcel. I reviewed a portion of the plan, and we had a conference call about some of the drainage design issues, what's working, what's not working, what's been tried. And one of the things that became apparent in our conversation is that there's kind of two overlapping jurisdictions here, two Venn diagrams, if you will. The planning board has some jurisdiction over this, which is inclusive of some stormwater issues. The Conservation Commission has jurisdiction over this project with respect to wetlands and stormwater issues. And so there needs to be some coordination in the town's efforts in terms of identifying more permanent solutions and reviewing them and discussing them internally in meetings. And so I got the impression from my conversations that while the Conservation Commission might be more concerned with certain issues that are more sort of wetlands centered, the planning board may have broader, sort of subdivision stormwater kind of concerns about the way the roadway comes down from the solar field. There's a large basin as it approaches and sort of dog legs towards the road. So those concerns or interests might not completely overlap, but there certainly is a good deal of overlap. So Steve and I had discussed inviting the developer to a conservation commission to get the communication started and to start discussing potential solutions. We're going to need to involve, obviously, engineering consultants and folks with other areas of expertise to chime in on this. But one of the things that I suggested in our conversation was coordinating and communicating with the planning board rather than sort of running the risk that the Conservation Commission and the Planning Board, maybe go in different directions. Maybe there's some divergence there, but I see some benefit in coordination between, both bodies, because you're addressing similar issues, and the solutions are obviously going to be, something that both boards are going to have to approve ultimately. So why not review this together? One of the things I suggested was the possibility of a joint meeting. So when you make contact with the site owner, developer, operator, to maybe think about whether or not you feel it would be a good use of your resources to do a joint meeting with the planning board to start to hear about some of the problems and some of the solutions and what direction you want to take this in. We had at one point discussed some potential more formal enforcement steps, but I think at this point the thinking was maybe to make communication, start the conversation, see if there's an opportunity here to do this cooperatively. The downside of issuing formal orders is lawyers get involved and appeal clocks start running, and so sometimes that gets in the way of good faith cooperation towards a solution. So that's where we ended our internal conversation, knowing that you were, of course, meeting tonight, and I would have the opportunity to make the same statement to all of you and check in with the commission. And you could hear everyone else's report after mine, and then you could give us some direction, hopefully, on where you want us to go with this one. So I'll stop there and turn it back to you, Madam Chair.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Steve?
So we do have a third-party monitoring consultant, Art Allen,
Excellent.
who's been up to speed with what's been going on. He's been going on with the stormwater issues. The town's been out there, the planning board, the community development director, the planner has been working in conjunction with the developer, who I think they're here also to go over what has been going on for the last, since this problem has arisen, the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I think some of the solutions, along with, what they've come up with maybe the planning board, building department, maybe, and to address some of the commission's concerns. So you can either start with Art or the developer, kind of give an update.
I was going to go with Art first and then the developer.
Great. Thank you, Art Allen from Ecotech Commission's peer review consultant, wetland scientist. Yeah, I've been doing the periodic monitoring out there since the first part of the year, when the erosion controls first went in. At this point, there have been no direct wetland impacts associated with the project. Clearly, there have been stormwater issues, actually on both sides of the site, so both the west side down to Oak Street and the east side towards 78 Torrey Road, the Kroll's property in Sutton. There, the town line is on the, as you're probably aware, on the east side of this, 45 Oak Street. So back when they first put the erosion controls in, early part of the year, the Krolls came forward with some concerns about changes in runoff patterns and additional runoff or being redistributed on their site. I went out, met with them at that time. There were some adjustments made. There'd been some heavy rain right after they put the barriers in January. Some of the barriers were damaged, and then there were some other areas where clearly the runoff was following the barriers and kind of penetrating the barriers. So they made some modifications and adjustments at that point. We didn't really have any more significant issues on that side of the site. Really, I mean, they didn't really get going with the work really much until June, so right before the heavy rain, when they, again, the heavy rain in July, there were runoff issues both on the Oak Street side and to the Sutton side of the site. I most recently walked the Kroll's property with the Krolls on August 2nd. Looked at, listened to their concerns, observed the runoff onto their property. Their concerns are basically that and they're here tonight, so I won't speak for them, but I'll just give you my interpretation, that runoff's being redistributed on their site right now. Appears to be in part because of the siltation barriers, erosion barriers are kind of cutting across the contours of the site on an angle. So they're to a certain extent kind of in themselves redirecting runoff on the site. And then the trees have all been cleared on the site, and as we know, removing trees and vegetation, changes the runoff patterns. At this point, none of the stormwater's been installed on the Sutton side of the site. The only stormwater is the first basin on the Oak Street side of the site, which controls some of that runoff towards Oak Street. But at this point, there's none of the permanent controls are installed. So in the short term, there's some concerns about the development work changing the runoff patterns. In the long term, there's 3 basins planned for that Sutton side of the site, the east side, and those are all going to have kind of point source discharges, which in themselves are a concern for the Krolls, because their preference is to see the existing or pre-existing patterns of kind of sheet flow runoff distributed, across their property. I mean, they abut the whole east side of this site. So their preference is to see the runoff evenly distributed across that side of the site, rather than these point source discharges that are currently planned. I don't know what can be done about that. I mean, that's really kind of an engineering issue, but it was something, that was also discussed earlier in the year when we first went out there, was that, the point source discharges themselves may be an ongoing issue for the Crolls. Obviously, there's been some, there are controls in on the Oak Street side, on the west side of the site. There's some plans for additional controls and revisions, which you'll hear about after my discussion. So that's basically what I've seen to date, and some of my comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Art. Also, when the Crolls come in, we're handed a statement from them. Mark, you can take one and pass.
You have that electronically as well.
Okay. Thank you. So this is just a statement from the Crolls. If you could pass that. So I had a chance to look at it, and thank you for making that short enough to review in a quick minute.
Well, it's,
There you go.
can I,
No, I appreciate it. Did you want to speak for a moment?
I wouldn't mind.
If you come up and then name and address.
I just wasn't, since we have sort of two sides where there's a concern, I wasn't sure what was going to be addressed first.
We're all going to speak, so.
Okay. So, we're farmers. That land is now an official stewardship forest, okay? Audubon. We spend, especially my wife, who is on Zoom, spends an extensive amount of time managing that land. The farmers that came long before us had all this laid out very nicely. The problem we're having, or a lot of the problem we're having, is we're taking, due to the, quote, mandated, government-mandated, one-size-fits-all stormwater control barriers, we are taking water that was very manageable. Granted, we picked up some speed because of the trees, but lack of the trees. But in general, it's sheeted down the land. And now we're sending it off in another direction. We're capturing it. We're putting it in a channel. We're increasing the velocity. And we're taking it away from some, and a lot of this area is not technically Concon area. It's more Planning Commission, I guess, because it's upland, but it's all downhill.
Okay.
Okay. One of our larger concerns is the one spot on that edge of the property that's defined as wetlands. I have a concern about how it is being, that wetland is being determined. That has always been not a sitting wetland swamp seat. That has been flowing water through that
Okay.
for decades. Well, these stormwater barriers have shut off, blocked all that flowing water that's there. And are
Okay.
redirecting it away from that area, et cetera. So it's kind of talked about in here, but, there was significant existing best management stormwater practices in place. And we've disrupted that significantly. We're causing erosion we're causing some areas of my land to dry out. We're causing other parts to have erosion,
Okay.
okay? If you take the Torrey Road side of my property, the bottom of the hill of my property, there's like approximately 35 acres of wetlands there. It's a swamp.
Wow. Yep.
Well, we're taking water that flowed down the west side of my property, also, by the way, town line, Douglas Sutton town line, that eventually ended up into that wetland. Some of it's surface, some of it's subsurface. The area we used to call Five Springs, now we call it Three Springs.
Okay.
Okay? And, that then feeds Stevens Pond.
Yep.
Goes under Torrey Road, culvert, feeds Stevens Pond. It's a flowing swamp. It's not a lot of people, I think people hear wetland, they think this mucky, stagnant water sitting thing.
Right.
Okay? And yeah, you got to surround it, make sure the silt doesn't go in it. But what you've done is you've stopped the water flowing through it.
No, that's understandable, because we also identify things by different various
Yeah.
names, and there's a lot of different things
Right.
that constitute
Yeah.
what we call a resource area.
Yeah, and let's understand, that is a man-made flow, but man-made long before we were born.
Right, you're trying to preserve the original, the
Right.
resource
And
at least
everything
you're
that
leveraging.
we've done, we've spent, especially my wife, what, 6 years now, or 6 or more years, designing or managing and adjusting the lay of the land and where we plant, where we cut trees, plant trees, to balance what's coming, what comes over.
Yep,
Well, it's all out the window now.
understood.
Okay?
Okay.
I mean, so I hope that helps.
It does.
We did include some video, I do have some videos on that stick, if you all want to look at them offline or online. One of them has nothing to, technically is not Concon jurisdiction. We hadn't thought of it that way.
Emailed.
Well, I guess the person that we were told to email to is on vacation.
Oh, Jen, whatever I got, I forwarded.
Okay, so.
So I do
just
have-
brought it all on a USB stick in case.
Nope, that's fine. Thank you. Much
So,
appreciated.
I hope that, I didn't read it word for word as such, but I hope
No,
that
that's-
helps.
Where is this land? I'm not sure where.
He's on the Sutton
property.
side. oh.
In Sutton?
Yeah,
Yeah,
78 Torrey Road.
I think this is all his. Go up the,
I didn't think that part of the site was developed yet.
you go up, I think they cleared the trees.
They cleared the
They cleared the trees,
there was
they
some
put up all the silt fences.
Along the back stone wall.
Okay, I also want to say
Thank you.
that the developer, Blue Wave, seems to care so far. Okay, and is working with us.
okay.
Okay, so I want to be clear about that, and they have some people here that know a lot more about this stuff than I do, as does my wife. So, I would refer to, I think, let them talk about what they have done
Okay.
in intermediate step and long step, but to a large extent, we're in they and us are in agreement about what we would like to see, some of the things we'd like to see happen in the short term related to the silt fences.
Okay, good. No, I thank you for having that in writing, and I thank you for speaking with us.
To me, silt is a resource. I want that silt.
Yeah,
I want that water. Okay? The land, that existing stone wall is effectively a natural silt fence
yeah,
that catches and percolates through. Some of the silt comes over, and all of that because so that it doesn't erode the land, okay? Silt fence messes all that up.
okay.
And we brought this stuff up back when this project was originally discussed some years ago, and we were poo-pooed and told we don't know what we're talking about. So,
Okay.
well, now we're proving that we do. Anyways, thank you very much.
Thank
I don't
you.
know if my wife wants to. Oh, yeah, we'll take all your dirt. We'll take your dirt. We'll take it all.
Understood. Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to have Beals and Thomas come up and. Is it, okay, sorry.
We were told that we might be able to present, so I'm gonna.
Yeah,
Yep.
what's your email? What's your Zoom number? Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Your name? Okay. Should be able to share.
Well, you're at a name and address for the record,
Pardon me, my name and my personal address?
or your company and your company's
pardon me.
address.
Blue Wave, our address is 116 Huntington Avenue, Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay, and you are,
I am Jason Smith.
Mitch, thank you, Jason.
Jeff Murphy, Beals and Thomas, 144 Turnpike Road, Southborough, Mass.
My name's Aaron Sims. I also work for Blue Wave. I live, though, in Southampton, 482 Leadmine Road, Southampton.
Thank you.
So I think everybody knows the project, so I don't think we need to do much of an introduction.
Nope.
We have materials that we submitted that I could present.
I want to make sure everybody received them, though, because there were some challenges with the virtual data drive. Were you unable to pull them off? Yeah, okay.
I couldn't watch them.
Pardon me?
I couldn't watch them.
Oh, okay. So I think it's appropriate, though, to identify that, Steve, thank you for sending and making the request. We did respond, and the things that you asked for, we have provided. So it was recent monitoring reports for the site to date. Those are all inside of a folder on that shared drive. We'll make sure that you're actually able to download them. Sorry. Our IT department's got a tight lock on things. The other one was a written response to the request for the short-term and long-term stormwater management plans for the site.
Yeah, I think that was a request just to be clear, that was directed by the commission at their last meeting.
Okay, which I think is fair enough to acknowledge. Thank you for whoever was speaking from the planning department, because we didn't necessarily understand the intent of the meeting and our invitation here, especially after having listened to Art. And so we do appreciate the explanation. That helps us.
Okay.
And just one point of clarification is, people were speaking earlier, the trees have been fallen on the site, but they have not been removed. They have been stated that they have been removed. So if there is any kind of water patterns that we begin to talk about later, please know that the trees have fallen and they are laying in place. They've not been removed.
Right, but they're definitely dead.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was you.
They're definitely dead now.
They are.
Okay.
Yes.
The roots
Yes.
They're not connected. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Nope, it's fine. Thank you.
Fair enough. So I think if we can go to the next few slides, documents, I think one of the things that people have talked about, and I think it's been a theme here, is that we've had weather patterns over the last few years. They're extremely significant, and these here represent the weather patterns in July for the last few years. And one of the things that you can see over time is not just the intensity of them, but the frequency and the lack of recovery that the soil and the sites have had to date. And when we get to now where we are today, you can see a significant amount of volume of water that has fallen, as well as the frequency and the short amount of days that the soil has had to respond to it. So almost full saturation in the soil leads to an increased amount of sheeting. And as you guys know, we are now in a moment of construction for the site. That is not at a fully constructed site where there's an end result with all the best management practices and where the stormwater is in place and functioning the way it was originally intended. We are in construction responding to events that occur at the frequency that we did not anticipate them.
Right.
Nor did the almanac or anyone else, so.
No, but it has been happening the last several Julys. Yep.
Okay, you're right. We would have been talking about dust then, right? We also feel the same way.
Yep.
So that having been said, we did bring our engineer, our civil engineer, to talk a little bit in response directly to what the short-term plan is. And I think that it is shown in part here in this display.
Yes, thank you, Jason. So in response to the runoff issues that we've been experiencing at the intersection with Oak Street, we had several meetings up until this point. We had a meeting in late June, kind of earlier on, with the Beals and Thomas, Blue Wave, Mill Creek Renewables, who's the site EPC contractor building the project, as well as the town's peer review consultant, Haley Ward, where we were discussing some possible measures to help minimize the amount of ponding that was occurring at Oak Street. So after that initial meeting, we had developed some sketches and ideas to try and mitigate that runoff, which included a cutoff trench that was installed beneath the construction tracking pad there. You can see it called out said previously installed cutoff trench. And then we had also looked at doing a temporary mountable berm at the end of the site to try and corral the water to keep it from entering the street and causing ponding. So those were implemented, I believe, in the very early part of July and subsequently early to mid-July. And I believe that there was subsequently numerous storm events between July 3rd roughly and July 13th, I believe. And then I believe that there was a subsequent meeting on site due to the kind of increased issues that were occurring. Based on my observations, it seems that, as has been discussed, each of these high-intensity storm events was having a cumulative effect in saturating the soil, particularly the upper section of the temporary gravel parking lot, which is that area off to the left side of the driveway here, which we noted that area had become very saturated and was contributing flow towards the driveway itself. So one of the ideas that we came up with after we had visited the site on July 27th during one of these intense thunderstorms, we observed what was going on with the drainage to come up with this plan, which was to try and firstly to try to corral some of the water up in that upper portion of that temporary gravel parking area and installing a redirection of that water into towards the existing wooded area to the north or to the left of that temporary sediment basin to try to minimize the amount of water getting to the street. And as well, there had been a small sediment trap installed initially. However, that was quickly overtaken by the flows. So now we've been looking at raising the grade of the access road up several feet and regrading the road to direct the water off to the north to a larger, more expanded sediment basin in the lower left corner of that temporary gravel parking area. So those measures have been partially constructed or largely constructed as of today. Again, some other things that had been working on with the contractor as well as their SWIP review engineer, Fuss & O'Neill. We have been working on some solutions along the upper part of the access road, installing some water bars to help direct the water into the swales properly and try to minimize the amount of ponding we're seeing at the road. So we believe that these are a step in the right direction, and believe that is the first step to our more long-term plan, which is being able to build, the basin, that's the infiltration basin 2, which is higher up on the hill, to try to catch even more of the water, to hopefully minimize the amount of runoff that's making it towards the west side of the site, towards Oak Street.
You can see here in the lower section is phase 1. This is the only phase that we've been released to be able to construct at the moment, and this is the phase that we began to construct. And we were probably 85% complete when the events of rain began to happen, and we became very reactive to those.
Yeah.
We have not had an opportunity to influence the site and/or the water coming off of the future site with phase 2 yet. However, if you can scroll just slightly up.
But you have not started phase 2?
We have not started phase 2. The only thing, pardon me, we have cut the trees, they're dead, they're laying there.
Okay, so they're not doing the things that a tree would do is the problem.
Correct. So they're doing
some things that trees do.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
But the using water part, they're not doing anymore.
Correct.
Okay.
If you can go up just a little bit higher, we also provided a list of some of the measures that were reactive that were implemented. Just a little bit higher in the entire report, there's the list. Further up.
And actually, just for my clarification, is there an intent to do stumping after?
Yes.
We would like to, yes.
We would like to do stumping and grubbing and put the second basin in. Yes.
Okay, stumping for the second basin. I was going to say, do you need to do stumping underneath where you'd put solar panels?
We do. They'll just
Really?
continue to grow
The
otherwise.
site is actually a dual-use solar.
With a field.
With agriculture.
Okay.
under it. So we're turning, there weren't that many trees in the field area.
Right.
But there were some hedgerows between the fields.
Okay.
So those trees are going to be stumped. But most of the site, it wasn't clear cutting. It was just in the strips between the fields.
Okay.
And this is a list of all the different things that occurred and their dates and timelines. You can see we did put the first stormwater measures in place, 116, and over time, some of the work that we began to do. I think one of the things that we want to highlight is while everyone has been talking about the unfavorable climate and weather patterns,
Yeah.
that we have reacted to both the town's requests as well as the SWEP monitor's recommendations. Some of those have not been as fast as the frequency of events, for which I believe we're all here to discuss.
Right, exactly, yeah. No. And I just want to make sure that if we ever manage to get out of a reactive phase, that when you're putting together these plans proactively, you're assuming not just similar future rainfalls, but even more increased.
Yes, and that is what that is what this plan is supposed to represent for the long term.
So this plan is very helpful for the concerns that I'm aware of regarding runoff, across the roadway and through your driveway area. I'm curious because we just talked to Mr. Kroll about their area. What if any changes would you make to your plan for their site?
I think, yeah, there's a lot. I have some thoughts.
Okay.
We have spent some time with them walking a few times. There's one thing that I think Art said that I take issue with about what you said was technically correct, but the idea that the basins that we will be installing have a point discharge, that's not correct. They are infiltration basins that have a point discharge if the level gets high enough, right?
For overflow.
So it's an overflow. And that means that the water that's discharged in the future scenario where these three basins are lining that full property line, it will infiltrate during a normal event. So, yeah, thank you. Good point. So
Thank you.
These three basins, they're very long. They stretch the whole line of the property, and it's not the intention of the engineering to channel all of it into three spots. So I just wanted to make sure we talked about that, because that's not a feature. If you want to tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think there may be some misunderstandings about things. So certainly, again, as we all know, stormwater management is an essential part of any project, stormwater design. When we are looking at changing ground cover types as we are on this site and installing, a solar array at the Ring Perimeter Road, we need to design and implement stormwater management features to mitigate the runoff from the site appropriately. And one of the primary mechanisms we have to do that is the stormwater basins themselves. So, it's a requirement that we have them. And again, when we were designing these, and during permitting, we were thoughtful about the direction we were trying to position these outlets. I remember having discussions about those areas specifically. We had tried to install level spreaders and things to try to dissipate the water that does come through the outlet pipes of the basins, to try to distribute it out as much as possible.
And one of the challenges is that what we're currently dealing with are sediment barriers that are a
Temporary
temporary
sediment barrier.
situation to make sure that when we do get in and remove the stumps, that sediment doesn't
Travel off
cause
site.
an issue and go into the wetland that has you have jurisdiction over.
In most circumstances, we do not find adjacent properties asking for silt. It is.
Correct.
it is-
Well, and for the sake of this board, I'm still very sensitive because while I appreciate the agricultural desire for silt, because silt is often full of nutrients, I also appreciate while those same nutrients are not healthy for a wetland ecosystem. So I really, there still need to have some controls in place. Right.
Acknowledged.
So, absolutely, yes.
Do I need to come up or?
Yes, if you don't mind, if it's preferred.
I don't have a problem, I just wanted to know. So, on our side, against that property line,
Yeah,
there's no wetlands.
you're in what's considered an upland area.
It's all
Okay.
upland area,
Okay,
okay? The other part that everybody seems, I don't hear talked about is this, so there's a significant slope which adds velocity, but this has always been a very wet property.
yep,
Okay. The amount of water coming down onto our land traditionally has been fairly significant,
yep,
okay? And everything has been with reasonable, fair amount of reasonable work, without hiring contractors, we're able to manage it
yep,
in one fell swoop, up
yep.
in smoke.
And it changed, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, yep,
And that includes, by the way, the water that flows through that officially defined wetland resource. That,
Okay.
I guess better term is a resource area as opposed to
Yep.
wetland area, where the water was coming through, which lines up with other structures on our side,
right,
okay?
yep,
So,
okay,
A good place for us to point out the changes that we recently implemented. Instead of having the silt barrier go along project perimeter, it now has U-turns type of J-hooks so that the water isn't able to follow the silt fence the whole way.
That's a
Okay.
continuous path.
As it
Okay.
goes downhill. So we feel optimistic that will.
so slow down the velocity of the water, which was part of the problem.
There were in the corners here and here, there were a few blowouts, so we know that it was getting speed.
Yes,
I need to clarify a little bit.
okay,
So there's two, in my head, there's two different volumes or types of flow causing silt. When I'm talking about the silt, I'm talking about the water that has traditionally been sheeting down the edge of the
Correct,
hill.
yep.
So as opposed to, which is very different and much less than what happens when you cut a channel and you concentrate it and you pick up velocity and significantly, not just silt, but literally you're going to gravel and
the
you're going to
entire,
road.
yep, like we were talking about with the driveway
And
situation,
we've
yep,
gone from silt to erosion
understood,
with this.
And
So-
we want to stop.
Yeah, I'm not,
We're on.
and I think I said it earlier, we feel you're working with us at this point. I'm not, but I'm just trying to make sure that there's an understanding on the part of the board, that it's, what we're talking,
Yep.
what we're talking about when we say silt, we want your silt, we want your dirt, we want your wood chips, we'll take it all. We're trying to
Right.
rebuild what's fairly poor soil on our side,
understood.
so.
Nope, thank you. Good. Name and address?
John Dieter, 50 Oak Street. Can you guys tell me what the elevation difference from the top of that field to Oak Street is? I'm just curious. I haven't seen this.
From the top of the field in Phase
So
2?
Where the road goes up and it opens up into the big field, right?
That's about 705
Yeah, and
elevation.
then Oak Street where it comes down.
662. So 40.
40-ish feet.
40 feet, okay.
Over what distance? What do you think?
Probably 800, 700-800 feet.
Sorry, Greg Morehouse, Mill Creek Renewables.
Okay,
But yeah, it's about 550 feet of road that's over the 40-foot slope.
That's a before, yeah, no, that's a substantial drop. No, thank you.
I was just curious because from the road to my shed, which is roughly 130 feet, rocks over 50.
Wow, all right.
So I am right across the street, offset slightly, right? From my front door to that, and right in front of the front door is my well and then my septic, right? So I'm just kind of trying to follow along as we go, so I appreciate you letting me ask the question.
Absolutely.
I was unsure what that elevation drop was, so significantly, once it hits Oak Street, I see a greater drop than they do over 500 feet.
Exactly.
And that's kind of what my concern was, is why you run that, or put a road, or aim it that way into the lowest spot on the entire road from the rip, I guess, because I kind of walked into this at the end. So they've been excellent in helping me contain what was once a disaster, right? So that's good. I'm just trying to get the logistics, because I don't have any of this information, right? I don't know where I can get it. I just try and follow along, so thank you.
Town hall.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yep.
And I think it's prudent. I think it's prudent also that we identify. We just spoke of on the back side, but on the front side where you identify that there were complaints of silt leaving. And while we don't want, I don't think anybody who has suffered the consequence of that wants to admit the weather patterns. They are a significant influence.
For sure.
And I think that this plan represents both our response, our engineers' response to those events, and also those neighbors who have been impacted being vocal enough and nice enough to be vocal enough in a respectful way, but also in a very urgent fashion to let us know that something needed to be done.
Yeah.
And so we have added a few different things to do so. As Jeff explained, we've added a great deal of additional storage. So noting the elevation drop, a lot of the water was coming down the road onto the site. Even with water bars, that were overcoming the water bars and coming to the road. So we have changed the camber of the road, and as it passes basin number 1, there's a second basin, and the way that it's designed is the camber road, before it comes down any further, pushes all water, no crown, it sheets it directly into this basin. The next site, just before it drops into what would look like the construction entrance, that has a large berm that comes around that you would have to drive over and out in the near future. Right now, it's a large berm capturing all the water that would not have been caught in the first basin or the second. It leaves it there so that it doesn't come down the road as we've experienced in the past. We have used all of the stockpiles on the site to create all of the berms, and we have fallen short and have to import soil now to build the road up and finish some of our little swale wall, not little, they're like 4 foot, but 4 foot basin walls. So I want to make sure that as we spoke well on the north side, that we're speaking equally for the measures that need to be put in place to be able to protect the silt from leaving the site and going onto Oak Street.
Appreciate it.
We seem to be talking a lot about stormwater issues, which are really planning board issues more than Conservation Commission. Not that I'm not concerned about it, but should we move on?
Sure.
Is there anyone else that wants to talk about?
Yes, name and address for the board.
Mike Zwick, 46 Oak Street.
Yep.
We all met for the first time this evening. I know this all takes time. Exactly what Mark was saying. It's going to have to be discussed between, I think, the two boards.
Yep.
Figure out, like you're saying, on sitting down, either we have a joint board meeting, which I think we've done in the past.
Yep.
Try to hammer this all out in the best way. It's great what they're doing. I mean, it's better than houses. We'll take the solar farm over development. But there's been a lot of damage to our properties because of this temporary. They're trying to fix it. which is great. I just hope it lasts for the next 20 years. So anything that's being done, whoever engineer stamps are on it, you know, we have a long ways to go with this project. There's this, it's been out there, you've seen it, and it's pretty ugly.
Understood.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, excellent, thank you. So far, this is just an update that's going into your plan. We don't need to do an approval for this, or no? Yes, no? This
Yeah,
is
it's
just,
all
okay.
construction.
Excellent. And then I would ask, since this just came in today, there's a couple bullet points that the Crolls are looking to have and addressed. If there's a downed tree that they wanted removed, there's help with lining the ditch and assistance with fixing a wall. Are those items that you could consider?
So, having seen this the first time right now,
Understood.
I don't
To
think.
clarify, that's a pre-existing down tree, not something that they did.
Oh, okay.
This would just help us manage right there along the property line. It's just, it's large, and without having access to that side of the property, to the other,
Understood.
over the property line,
Yep.
I can't deal with it.
Yep, understood. Thank you.
So I have a question for the commission.
Yep.
Not the first bullet. How would you all feel about that? Because
We would have to go on a case-by-case basis, because as the discussion we had, in some cases, you're looking for less, but you've already told me that you have changed the positioning of the silt fences to try and
Mitigate.
to reach kind of a common ground there, because we can't afford to have the removal of silt fences that are protecting our wetland resource areas.
Most of the
Right.
is not. That's the problem. There's only one small spot.
Right.
It's a wetland resource area.
Right.
All the rest of the silt fence is protecting the property line, upland property line.
Right, this is Conservation Commission, right? So we are concerned with the wetland resource area. And so I'm just looking, because you've seen this for the first time, I want you to consider it. But also, I wouldn't ask you for doing any of this without going through the board. Because obviously, we need those silt fences to be in place to protect the resource area.
I think, what if we do this? Since this is the first time we're seeing this, let's take it into consideration.
Yep.
And what we'll do is we'll respond to you guys, and in the event that there's an opportunity to get rid of the J-hooks or the silt fences where it makes sense, we would work with you guys in identifying those areas. Okay?
I would appreciate that, yes.
What about changing the type of sediment control barrier to something that's not a silt fence, that's not entrenched into the ground, such as a compost filter sock? Is that?
We could talk
an
about that.
option?
That is absolutely something we could talk about. Yes,
We can respond directly to you guys for that request in writing.
I would appreciate that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I
Yep.
apologize. Some of this, a lot of what this is not really Concom.
Right.
Okay? Most of this is related to upland areas.
Okay.
Just related to the whole project.
That's fair.
This is as much to them slash the town of all boards there.
The community, yep.
As opposed to specific, I don't think the tree has anything to do within your jurisdiction or et cetera.
Yep.
That just came in time. You looking for a comment?
Is there anything else?
When you said, let's address the first bulleted item.
Oh, it's removal of the silt fence. So, okay.
Do you have another copy?
I have several.
I think they,
There you go.
they don't handed them out.
Okay. Excellent. Do we have any other items for 45 Oak Street? Fantastic. So we had listed this as a possible violation. Where do we
I
want
think
to?
the attorney, when I talked about that first,
Yes. did.
You did.
It was a long time ago.
Did I hear you circling this back towards me?
Yes. Because we listed this on the agenda as a possible violation. We're ready to move on from this topic, and I just kind of want to wrap this up nicely.
Yeah. And there's really nothing for you to act on that front, and nothing else before you to act upon on the other fronts.
Right.
And so I don't think you need to take any kind of motion. If you wanted to pursue enforcement, you could do it in the affirmative. But in this case, considering how productive this conversation has been, at least from my humble perspective, I don't think there's any action that I'd be looking for from the commission.
Okay. If we do end up scheduling a joint meeting with the planning board, just make sure that all parties are informed. Because I think that if we want to go ahead and pursue that, I would be happy to participate in that. Definitely, speaking for Concom, I think we would be happy to participate in a joint meeting if that's something that we have to do. So,
Does that, logistically, is that?
we'd probably put it on an existing planning board meeting.
Maybe the.
I mean, the one time I've done that in the past, it was scheduled into an existing planning board meeting.
But there would be nothing more for us to do. We would be waiting for the notification from you in the event that would occur.
Correct.
Perfect. Thank you for your time.
Planning board has a meeting at the end of the month.
Okay, thank you.
And if I could, just one more thing.
Yes, sir.
Just to remind the commission, there hasn't been no wetland impact, so I really think there's nothing, wetland-wise to issue a violation over at this point.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 7, which is a violation discussion for 17 Potter Road and the enforcement order. Again, I'm going to start with,
I don't think
Nope.
Mr. Winter is.
he's not been engaged in this.
He's not involved on this one.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Attorney.
Apologies. Attorney Winter.
You could chime in now.
Do you want to, Steve, do you want to talk about, review where we left off from last meeting?
Well, I believe there asked for, there was a deadline for them to submit information.
Yep.
Which I think they asked for more time to do that
Okay.
at the last meeting. I mean,
Right.
Yep.
I don't know if Attorney Winter wants an update, if he's ever going to get involved with this, if he wants an update maybe from Glenn or from us on where we stand on this, or is the commission up to speed on what's going on with Potter Road?
I mean, that's essentially what we're looking for in this, in this. Okay. Excellent. No, I guess we're just asking Attorney Winter to, I guess, note that this is a discussion that we're having, and then I will let.
Thank you. Glenn Kravosky. I have it.
Okay. Thank you.
You can't shut the door.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Again, name and address for the record.
Jessica Bankston, owner of 11/17 Potter Road.
All right, thank you.
Glenn Kravosky from EBT Environmental, 601 Main Street, Oxford. And if we could, we just, we employed existing grades out of Douglas, Rydell, to pick up my wetland flags. So we have, I believe we've had a couple weeks since the last meeting to discuss this. Rare Species Program gave us till the 17th, gave us 1 month from their deadline. And we delineated, in the meantime, from the last meeting, the mean annual high water and the BVW. Existing grades got out there more rapidly than you normally will see an engineer surveyor to get out, put together a base plan. We did send it over to, we only received it this morning. It came in over the weekend. We received it this morning. We sent notes to existing grades on additional information that has to be added to the plan, total riverfront area, boulder wall. We have the floodplain on the map. We have topo. We have the sheds. And the boulder wall, if I didn't just say that. In different things, thank you. In different items that we will eventually get on the plan, the edge of the dirt road, they labeled it as pavement. It's the edge of dirt road. This road has a similar problem as an earlier discussion you had as far as running off into Mumford River. We're confident, as long as the engineer works with us, to have the notice of intent. We ordered the abutters list we have, to have the notice of intent in the next 7 to 10 days to make it before both our deadline, or at least our deadline with Rare Species Program, so we can file with MESA and eventually get their 30-day comment period in. There are a couple of things that the applicant would like, and if you didn't see, I know it was at the end of the day, and as the gentleman from the Conservation said, geez, last minute, we ain't gonna look at that. We do have plans that you might just glance at.
I'd love to, absolutely.
I actually printed it out for everybody.
Yeah, I have a tiny one.
Yeah, oh, you do, thanks, Steve, I wasn't sure.
Nope,
So
I got
you,
one.
so you see the base information, things that have to be moved. Kim Roth has had a discussion with Ms. Bangston, and we have to make the case that this would be new agriculture, selling a commodity, what you're going to grow. She has put together a list and is waiting for her DBA from the town, and did get her number from USDA as a farm plan. We have discussed on this plan of what we're going to do with restoring the riverfront area. We're going to obviously remove the boulders along the slope, which also are right along that 384 off the top of my head, 385, 100-year floodplain. This is a detailed floodplain study, so we can, luckily, we can identify that exact elevation, show what we're going to be removing. Getting back to the original topsoil, as we discussed. I'm sorry if you didn't have a copy of that. So get back to the original topsoil, a planting with the natives. The only native I'm not going to use, and I'll be brief here, would be the eastern hemlock because of the woolly adelgia, so more planting of eastern white pine, northern red oak, red maple, witch hazel, and herbaceous layer, ensuring that there's a minimum or natural topsoil, so under the regulation for riverfront area, when you have something degraded, and there is language in there that you put similar topsoil, so if there was 5 to 6 inches in the natural forested area, we want to make sure we have 5 to 6 here. All of that will go into the final plan for restoration of that 100-foot riverfront area. The only 2 flags on the plan that are still in the question would be right where the low point adjacent to the wall comes in. I could not auger, thank you, Steve, I could not auger the, underneath the boulders. So it might be only a couple feet off, the wetland flag 11 and 10. And it says approximate on this sketch plan.
Yep.
Because those are right at the toe of the slope of the boulders. And I did auger on both sides of that low point that comes in towards the boulder, did get the 10YR44 non-hydric soil. But until those boulders are removed, we're anticipating that we'll have maybe 2 or 3 more feet before we hit the hydric soils and the slope rises up. There's a very steep slope to the right. If I'm facing the water, the slope to the right where the boulders aren't, it comes up very rapidly. And it's talking to the clients, the rest of this slope was steep and they put the boulders on it. So we see it's going to be fairly easy to, and we'll identify that when your consultants can look at that at the same time if choose be. But when we remove the boulders, we're anticipating finding the topsoil and subsoil, A, horizon, and B, underneath those boulders. So we're going to be coming up rapidly, remove the boulders. There's our original steep slope as we have to the south on this plan. If this is actually it would be called southeast as the river runs. And remove that, replant. We did have, I think we said this the last time, we had S&M Farms come in there, and they put the erosion controls in immediately when I got involved, within a couple of days, and those were in, and we're making sure that they hold up. We do have a road problem with 600 feet of road running to this site, and we would ask again that the town possibly look at it, because when they did put some crushed stone, 6-inch minus in the road, At one point, they made the crushed stone level with the road, and during these rain events, it's been going down the road where they put the new gravel, and that is going in both to the river on the right-hand side, going down the road, and into the pond on the left-hand side. We have photos of that, and also, now that the river is down, I was there yesterday, working some other jobs in Uxbridge and Charlton, but I went over here to take a quick look, and the delta from the coarse gravels that are coming down the road is now evident in the river. So there are some issues with making sure, again, that the water flows down a swale, concave, on the side of the road, and doesn't go out into the road
Understood.
proper.
No, but I
Okay,
appreciate
that's
it.
all.
And Potter Road is a public road?
It is a public road.
Thank
We
you.
asked the clients that ahead of time because of your last discussion. Thank you.
Nope, thank
Well,
you.
one of the last discussions.
One of them. No, two of them. So, great. So I noticed that you have plantings planned. I think, at least speaking for me, major priority is to get as much shade back on this waterway as possible. One of my major concerns for the Mumford River, Eric and I are volunteer water coordination, water monitors for the watershed. Water temperature is a major concern, so getting as much shade as possible back on this water as soon as possible would be great. You said you didn't like hemlocks?
The woolly adelgia, it's been killing. We have projects on the...
Interesting, okay.
Yeah. And so that's a problem, that now planting it, we have projects in Franklin, Norfolk, other areas, Sturbridge, where it actually is raising havoc with our eastern hemlock.
Oh, that's terrifying. Because
Yeah,
so much of
that's
the
one
wooded
of the
areas
ones
in
that we
Douglas are
have been
hemlock.
staying away from.
Okay.
Hurricane Gloria.
Yeah, yeah.
Blew it in.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Amen. It's
All
been
right.
around now, and when you see it, you'll see the havoc it's raising with different areas. So for that reason, we'll just go with the other natives that are here, and that's why I just stayed away from that one. And then there'll be more plantings besides just one bush. There'll be other things like
I was gonna say the witch hazel and stuff like that
can
should
be on
come
the
up
upper
quick.
grade. Clethra will come in there, winterberry, high bush blueberry, but we're not going to limit it to one. But generally, 3 to 4 bushes, 3 to 4 tree species at a general forested spacing, and then there'll just be some discussion on, I would think with the commission clearly, with the size, the caliper of what we're planting
absolutely.
there,
I wanna
so
make
that we're
sure.
not starting with something so small, but then still making sure that it's large enough to get going.
Getting that shade in place is really important. and
Most of the only place we're really right near the river is at 11 and 10. I mean,
Okay.
we're near the river in all areas, but there's still a forest left in areas to the right and left of 10 and 11. Again, you can see that knob of land if you follow my MHW in the grades over near the road. So there's a chunk of forest there, and as soon as we leave that,
there,
10 and 11 is another forested area if we get back and look at that. But it is required of us to, at a minimum, we're going to restore that 100-foot buffer as we're going to make the case that we fall under agriculture, new agriculture.
Okay. And then just for my education, I see that you're going to move some apple tree plantings. Were there other agricultural areas within the riverfront area, or just the fruit trees?
Just the fruit trees currently.
Okay.
We had been working with the USDA. We have our farm ID numbers. We have our paperwork in with the town currently for our DBA to be notified business. And
all right.
So we have future plans of assorted vegetables, fruits.
Animals.
We have animals such as chickens and goats, which will have products coming from them as well for sales.
Okay. Excellent.
And one last thing, the applicants brought it to my attention today, that there's about 50 logs, the shed that's nearest the water, because there's 2 sheds on here. I think they're called sheds on here?
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
The shed
They-
glasses.
Yeah, these glasses. Oh, just go to the bigger plan. So anyways, they're to the down gradient side or the downriver side of the shed, but near it, there's about 50 logs. And the applicants would, because we know we're going to obviously have MESA comment, DEP comment, your comment, the logs would be going, we're going to identify those on a plan. The logs, there's about a 10-foot diameter, 12-yard pile of gravel that's upgrading of the shed. And that shed, again, that's within the 100-foot, they're going to be requested to remove it. If you see the notes, we're going to they already sold the shed nearest the house.
Right, they're
They
gonna
want to
move this
move
one up.
that shed nearest the river up to that shed location near the house. They're different size sheds.
Okay.
One's a little bit larger. And we're thinking on filing, because this other stuff might take a while, but this is just logs and a pile of dirt that has nothing to do with, you might say that it's not going to affect the overall project, but we could get rid of the shed, the logs, and the pile of dirt potentially through an RDA. In the meantime, if we file it immediately and get it in front of you, and of course, we're going to send it to Rare Species and DEP, but we could get a jump start on a couple of things that are going. I think you already sold the shed, the one nearest the house. And so if we get started with just logs that are sitting on the surface of the earth, a small pile of gravel, 12 yards, that could also stay. It could be just the logs in the shed that are within the 100-foot riverfront area. We might be allowed, if we ask, to remove those two materials.
Okay.
So we are filing the notice, but that might take a little while, because there's a 30-day with Rare Species, and these two items might be minor, and the clients did ask for it, so I'm bringing it to your attention. I'll have it put on
That
the
you're
plan.
looking to remove some logs and some gravel from this area.
Well, if the gravel doesn't go, we're looking for three things. If the gravel is the most problematic with the board, at least the shed and the logs, which are at the surface, and they could.
We'll have to
discuss
see
it.
how
I'm gonna
far
file
they are from the
I'm going to
resource
file
area.
paperwork on the two of them, because this other stuff might take a while.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
All right, thank you.
That's fair. All right, excellent. So this is the start of a restoration plan.
It's a draft, as it says over here on the left, lower left.
Okay.
Right, thank you. We'll beef this up over the next weeks to 10 days and get that NOI into you.
Okay, so there is a plan to have an update for the next meeting.
Yes, we already picked up, they signed the NOI, page 9 and 9. We already have the checks, we have the abutters list.
Okay.
We're going to work with the engineer over the next few days, get this plan up to snuff, put more notes. The total square footage of riverfront area is not on the plan. There's a few other things, clearly that NOI
Right.
would require.
Yes, it would be.
All right.
Cool. Comments from the rest of the board? Excellent. All right.
Okay, well, we appreciate the board's time on this. Thank you
Yeah.
again very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming. Thank you for this plan. Thank you for your updates. Much appreciated.
We'll stay on it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, number 8, request for extension on 161 Maple Street, DEP 1430976.
Hey there, this is Mitch Maslanka with Goddard Consulting, representing the applicant.
Afternoon. Thank you, Mitch.
Yep. The order conditions for 161 Maple Street is set to expire sometime in the next upcoming few months. The COVID tolling period had extended it from its previously noted expiration date to out a couple months from now. So we're going to come before you guys and ask for an order of conditions extension so that we can proceed with some of the restoration that is ongoing at that property, and to continue the monitoring and any invasive species management we got to keep up on. And I'm also aware the owner is waiting to pour a foundation for the barn that hasn't been constructed yet either. So we'd request a 3-year extension from for the order of conditions if the commission is willing to do so. So let me know if you guys have any questions.
Yeah, I guess I'm asking, what's the status of this project right now? How far did you get?
So right now the house is done. There's a barn that is approved to be built, so they need to pour the foundation for the barn and then construct the barn before that aspect of the project is complete. The restoration adjacent to the house, to the left side of it, that has been being monitored for several years now. We do need to remove some invasive Phragmites from that area before we potentially request a partial certificate of compliance to close out that portion of restoration. And then restoration in the backyard has not commenced yet due to grading that needs to occur in order to access that back area where we are proposing restoration plantings for the clearing that occurred in riverfront area. So there are a few steps needed for restoration on top of the barn construction.
Okay. Board?
I have concerns that the restoration seems to be the last thing that you're doing. Is there a reason why it's been delayed?
Yeah, so the well was constructed in the incorrect place, so that took several months to move the well, basically. So that took precedent. And with the restoration, there was no damage to the actual wetlands. There was riverfront clearing of trees. And a lot of that vegetation just sprouted right back that same season, and it's continuing back. As trees where they weren't
Bad connection.
Now we're unstable.
That unpermitted action. So once the condition extension is if you get what we're going to do. Sorry, you guys must have froze up there.
We did.
Say anything?
No, we were missing a lot of things that we were trying to hear. So what's the key point you were looking for, Mark?
Well, I mean, the restoration itself can take time to be able to get the materials.
Sorry, I
removed.
think the Concom and Douglas cables Zoom keeps muting.
What? Who said? You say?
Nope, that's not better. Nope, that's not better. Do you have a cat back there?
Oh, I got you guys back. Yep.
Okay, great. Oh, that's great. Sorry, Mark, do you want to ask again? Sorry.
I don't need to ask again. I just had concern because the restoration can be what takes time to be able to remove the material that you want to remove and then get the other material established and to show that it's become established. So I just don't want to end up at the end of the next, 3 years and we still don't know because that new material still hasn't had a chance to establish itself. So I'd love to see that get done in shorter amount of time.
Understood. Okay, will do.
Other than that, I'm okay with extending.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to grant an extension for 161 Maple Street.
So moved.
Motion made by Mark.
Second.
Seconded by Eric. Roll call vote.
Jim Farr, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Monjam, aye.
Excellent. Your extension's granted.
Thank you.
How many
Have a
years?
good night, everyone.
3.
3. Oh, that's a good question.
Oh.
3 years.
3.
Yes, he requested 3 years.
Great.
I'm okay with 3 years.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you again. All right, item number 9, in old business. It's 125 Ledgestone Road. Totally different place from the other one. For the map 110, lot 11, I think Mark had said that we were still waiting on the DEP number for this. Any updates on 9? don't see it. Is there anyone here for 125 Bloodstone Road? All right. I'll entertain a motion to continue this to the August 21st, 2023 meeting.
So moved.
Motion made by Mark, seconded by Mike. Roll call vote.
Eric Harris, aye.
Jim Moran, aye.
Mike Rocco, aye.
Mark Wonjam, aye.
Excellent. Item number 10, notice of intent 58 Cottage Colony, single-family home addition tight tank for Norma Aldrich. 10. Excellent. Please come up. Name and address.
Okay, Margaret Bacon, Civil Site Engineering, and the owner here.
Norma Aldrich, 58 Cottage Colony.
Excellent. Thank you.
What I'm going to do right here is I'm going to put the board. Take a seat. Okay. Just to remind everybody, this just a real quick overview. This is Cottage Colony, existing house on there that Norm would like to increase a little, expand a little, add an addition. With that, we had to put in a tight tank because the septic system wouldn't fit due to the tight constraints of that lot. And so we're right on Whiten's Reservoir. And the last time I was here at the board, you wanted to see the 25-foot buffer zone, show the stairs coming off the deck, and then you did mention about relocating the well. And actually, she's had several different well drillers down on the site. And this is where the well driller had staked where he could put that well. Believe it or not, it's not a real easy drill for just him to access and to get his trucks down here. So I'm just going where he suggested to put that well. And there was a couple of well companies that didn't want to do it because they didn't have the equipment, maneuvering and getting down there. So I think those were the three comments you had at the last meeting. And one thing Norma would like to do is, because this well she has right now is a shallow well in the basement of the building, and there's the existing, the old cesspools right here. So she'd really like to get this well drilled so she can have a potable source of water.
Yep. Understood.
And the tight tank's already been approved by the Board of Health.
Perfect. Thank you.
So where are the stairs? Sorry.
So here's the existing house.
Yeah.
Then here's the extending out the foundation a little. Here's the deck, and then here's the stairs.
Okay, so you didn't go any closer to the water with the stairs?
No. Can you see this okay?
No. Yes. No, I have that. At the end of the concrete walk, there's just a note there that says existing deck to be removed.
Oh, yeah, in gray here, there's an existing deck, right, that's going to be removed.
Okay.
And then the new deck's going to be out in front here.
Yep.
Yep. You guys see it okay?
You were going to confirm the foundation, what the type of foundation it was going to be?
And actually, well, I have the builder here, so if Wally wants to address that, the foundation, Wally's the builder. Come on up.
If you could name and address for the record.
My name and address is Wally Pasternak, 24 Martin Road, Douglas.
So, thank you.
I built 14 houses on Vine Street in the 80s. When you turn on Vine Street, the first 14 houses on the right and left. Those I did. Now, I flip houses since I retired. I've done 20 in the last 6 years. So I'm going to do Norma's house over so she can live in it permanently. And she's living there with an existing well in the basement.
Right.
Close to 2 septic systems, two cesspools.
Yep.
And I did bring 3 well companies up there, and the only one that wants to do it is the one in Charlton, that they have a special machine on tracks to do it.
Very
And
cool.
he's staked the only place he could get a machine down there, and that's where he's gonna do it. And if he, you know,
Yeah, and Mark had a question regarding the foundation.
Yeah.
Specifically on this foundation, Mark? What was?
Yeah, what's the foundation for the expansion and for the deck?
well, the foundation is for the expansion. The deck will have some piers. They're not gonna have a foundation under the deck. I think it's what is it, 9 foot? It's about between 9 and 10 feet of the foundation. It's right on here. I mean, if anyone wants to see it, the house exists, stops here, and the new foundation is going to go that square after it, and then the deck is going to be here. So the whole thing, this is existing square.
Yeah, is it a full cellar, or is it a slab? or-
No, it's got a cellar. It's a short cellar, though.
Short cellar.
You can't really stand up. You'll hit your head. It's like 5.5 feet. You know what I mean? It's not full top cellar. It will get a little. It'll get a little higher as you go forward, but it's not going to still be something you're going to stand up in. That's basically it. So the well in the neighbor's house that they just put in a couple of years ago is approximately in the same spot. And this house has been done all over. It actually has a deck coming out farther than this. This is an old drawing of the plot plan. The new one's not on there. And the other house on the other side, same thing. His cesspool was on the side of the house, and her cesspool was right here, and her well was right there.
So the material from the excavation of the foundation, is that removed from the site?
Whatever has to be removed will be removed. I mean, they're going to dig a trench to do 4 feet, so they'll have a truck there, and whatever they have to get out of there, they will take out of there. And, they will do the silt filtration stuff too, and they're going to do that for the well. They have to do that. I mean, they're all familiar with that. He already told me he's done wells up there in that whole lake, and he knows exactly what's got to be done.
Okay.
She's just been living there, bringing her own drinking water and flushing the toilet with buckets from the lake. So, I mean, all summer she's been doing that. So we'd like to get this well in as soon as we possibly can. He called me last week, because I talked to him 2 months ago, and he asked me if we're ready, because they're kind of like holding a spot to get the machine there. It's not an easy machine, and everybody wants it. So
I'm sure.
And that's why we're trying to get, permission to get this well in there. Before we do the other work, we'd like to get the well in there.
Understood.
I have no other questions.
Okay. I will entertain a motion. Oh, I do. I need comments.
No, I mean from the
Public.
public.
Yes. Do we have anybody to speak on this property from the public? This is a public hearing. Then I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing for 58 Cottage Colony.
So moved.
Motion made by Mike,
Second.
seconded by Eric. Roll call vote.
Parasite.
Jim Foreign, aye.
Greco, aye.
Mark Mangumai.
And I would entertain a
I'll make a motion that we approve the notice of intent for 58 Cottage Colony, map 159, lot 34, for the addition of, or expansion of the house and deck, with the condition that they be able to dig the well as soon as possible.
Understood. Motion made
Can you throw in the final revised date on that?
Yeah.
for the plan dated
8/4/2023.
Excellent, thank you. Motion made by Mark,
Second.
seconded by James. Roll call vote.
Parasite. Tim Farr and I.
Mike Greco, aye.
They sign it.
Mark Mongemai.
All right, excellent.
Okay, thank you very much.
And those would be our standard conditions.
This will be our standard conditions, no equipment left parked overnight. You know, you're going to have your erosion controls in place. You're going to call Steve to take a look at your erosion controls once they're out there.
Yep.
So.
Will we get a letter of conditions?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's going to be typed tonight. I'll just change the
Okay.
revised date. I might have left it blank. Wait.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Everything else is there.
You got the hard copy, that dropped off hard copies, or,
I don't know if I got them. Dan's on vacation.
all right, I got another couple I'll just give to you.
My dad bought
Right.
this property in 1938.
Really?
I've spent every summer.
Thank you, Bethany.
Boy, the res has changed a lot then, huh?
Oh, yes, sure.
Oh, boy.
I think I'm one of the original.
I think you are. Yeah, I have a number of family out there, too.
Do you? Yeah.
It's a handful of Dudleys up there.
Did you know the Abrams?
Oh, yes. They're just 3 houses now.
Yeah, well, it's the Stanhopes now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But you knew them, yeah, the family.
Yeah, sure. He comes by every day, well, when I'm up there, and, you know, how's it going? When are you moving? Soon, hopefully.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Thanks.
Absolutely. I continued 9.
Who?
I continued 9 because we don't have the DEP number.
They requested it.
Great.
Did
Glad
you do
they got it. Yeah,
You
I did.
open it, you open it, and did you open it?
We voted to continue
Okay,
it.
I was out of getting it.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Nope, I thought that was the right thing. I'm glad we did the right thing. I was gonna-
No DEP number, and I think he didn't submit the revised plans based on the site walk.
Wonderful. 11, amended order conditions for 175 Southwest Main Street, map 226, lot 17 for the floodplain storage. So, do we have anyone to speak on 175 Southwest Main?
I know,
I have a public hearing continuation request from Deprete Engineering, and I see Deprete Engineering on the Zoom call, but they're muted.
I know they went out with our consultant last Wednesday. Some revised plans were submitted today. I know I forwarded them to Art. He didn't get a chance to look at them, but
Yeah, they just said they were busy on the 7th. Jason, name and address, and did you want to give an update on this project?
Yes.
that's just about right.
Sometimes it helps if they can turn the video off.
Engineering,
Good point.
question around.
Jason, turn the video off.
Which item are you on now? Number 12?
Yes, we are. Can you turn your video off?
No, we're on 11.
Oh, sorry.
Nope, it's okay. I still want him to talk.
No, we're on 12. Oh, I'm looking at last week's. Sorry.
No, we're on 11.
Yeah, I was
Can you
looking at
guys hear
last
me?
week's.
That's a bit better, yeah.
Okay. I guess regarding, I guess I didn't know that there was anything for me on item number 11.
There's not. So I guess that's the confirmation that I wanted to hear. I have a continuation request. I didn't know if you had any updates you wanted to give.
Yeah, I don't have anything. I wasn't informed of anything to discuss.
Okay.
I was here for items 12, 13, and 14.
Okay, yeah, so.
Great.
Are we open? I'm sorry, I got it confused.
We're on 11.
You're on 11, okay. I thought we were
So
on
I'm looking at,
We're on Southwest.
we're on Southwest.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the materials and they just, there's a couple of different letters here talking about changing
Right.
the elevation, but the front letter says that they're asking for a continuance. And since Jason has nothing to present on this
So,
project.
After the last meeting, they didn't formally submit
Okay.
amended notice of intent application with all the revised resource area, border. Calculations and stuff on that form. They
Okay.
submitted that to the DEP,
Yeah.
and then the DEP had comments.
Okay.
Which just came in, it's loosely submitted to everybody regarding the project.
They also got comments from the building department.
Says, hello, this amended notice of intent qualifies impact to BLSF that are significantly greater than those approved in the order of conditions issued by the Douglas Conservation Commission. Amended orders are usually only appropriate if impacts to wetland resource areas are not increased.
Yep, okay.
Period. The filing of a new notice of intent may be required if this revised project does not comply with Wetland Program Policy 85-4. Thanks, Judy Smith. So,
All right,
that was their comments.
that's a good comment.
I don't think, I know Jason, I think it was Byron
That's who wrote the letter, yeah.
was working on this project. I don't know if Jason, I haven't had any communications with him.
Jason doesn't have any updates for us either, so. All right, I will entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for 175 Southwest Main Street.
So moved.
Motion made by Mark,
Second.
seconded by Jim. Roll call vote.
Eric Ayers, aye.
Jim Vorn, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Mungem, aye.
Thank you. Going on to item 12, this is notice of intents for 273 Southeast Main Street, Lot 1, map 266, Lot 13, New Sherborne LLC. And this is a continuation. So, Jason, you did have updates for this project?
Yes, I do. So, again, Jason Clough, CLOUGH, with Dupree Engineering. We have offices in 104 Mendon Street in Uxbridge, Mass., and 2 Stafford Court in Cranston, Rhode Island. Regarding the item 12, that is for Lot 1, what is known as Lot 1 for New Sherborne Farms. We have updated the plan based on the comments that were received at the last hearing, which Byron Andrews was in attendance at. The plan updates include adding spot grade to the driveway, prevent stormwater going to the road. We shifted the house forward 10 feet, moved the limit of disturbance likewise forward 10 feet, added the dimension from the limit of work, shifted limit of work to the riverbank. We added decks and stairs to the house layout. And we updated the plan, created a new plan with a larger viewport to show more of the site, including wetland lines, riverbank, and to make the wetland flags easier to see. We also set up an overall plan showing the 3 lots with those 3 applications that we currently have for this area, lots 1, 2, and 3. So that overall plan shows the wetlands and the lot configuration with the buffers shown. In addition, our biologist met Ecotech site last week, Wednesday, to review the wetland edge. There were some changes to some of the flags, not on this lot in particular, but those adjustments have been made. With kind of the, last week, we got the plans updated.
Another one? Oh.
And, I understand that, hard copies were delivered today, so it's late notice for you folks taking a look at this, but, we have made the updates, that were requested. So that's for Lot 1. I can either go into some more detail on the other 2 lots as well, or we can, I can do that when you're ready.
No, we're just talking about Lot 1 for now.
Okay.
Okay.
So these lots went out with their consultant maybe last Wednesday. We haven't had an official report from Ecotech. I think these plans came over today.
Okay.
And I think late today, and I forwarded them to Art, so he just got them, and he says, yeah, he'll need time to review.
Okay.
And he probably should, correspond with whoever he walked with to make sure whatever the changes they agreed on are acceptable.
Okay.
And that's for all 3 lots, I'm assuming.
Okay. So you've already moved the house closer to the street.
Correct.
But you moved it 10 feet. Why only 10 feet? It looks like you have room before you hit the setback.
I mean, we could move it further. That's what was relayed to me from the comments that were given to me by Byron.
Yeah, no, you're out of the wetland buffer, which is fantastic. It would just be nice if you get further away. So what is the limit of clearing? It would be nice if you had less impact in the riparian zone. You know, anytime that you can do less clearing, we appreciate it. So I just think moving the house closer to the street would reduce the amount of clearing that you have to do.
Okay.
So I'd go, I mean, gosh, I would go 20 feet, but I can see how you would find that unreasonable.
Well, one of the things probably with the request to show the, kind of front steps and the deck is just to have those elements
oh, yeah.
taken into account as well. So, we have a little bit more room, I think, on the front, but another 10 feet probably pushes the, stair porch kind of area.
Yeah, you get, okay, so yeah, if there's other features, then those need to be shown on the plan.
We do have the
It is
stairs
on the
shown.
revised plan.
Oh, great.
I don't think you have a copy.
I don't have a revised plan.
3 of them. You want to see this, Mike's, he's not using it?
The revised plan, they're at 59 feet to the front, or 59 feet to the road. And then the stairs are off that,
Oh,
so
look at that.
it's probably only,
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's much better.
it's only like 53 feet.
Okay. Oh, it's much better.
Yep.
Yeah, to the front of the stairs is like 53, 54 feet.
Were there bank flags for the river? Was that looked at? They still don't see them on the plan.
Stream bank is shown in the plan. It's got labels.
It doesn't have
So
flags.
we got this, both banks labeled with stream bank.
Have them.
Yeah, was it flagged?
The stream.
It's a stream. I mean, we would just typically locate it based on the banks.
Yeah, but was it flagged? Wasn't, so did the Art and your consultant look at the stream bank to make sure it's accurate?
If Art could speak to that, I was not present.
Okay.
All right.
Art has left the building.
I don't blame him. All right. I don't have any other comments.
No, I'm okay with this.
Comments? Have any comments from the public? Yeah. Name and address for the record.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Justin Fitzgerald, 46 Slade Street, Hannibal. So, I'm trying to educate myself on the updated plan. So the new plan, is that totally out of jurisdiction of Wetland Protection Act? Or?
No, it's still within the 200-foot riparian zone.
So the last meeting, made a comment about this first lot. My concern is my property, my neighbor's property, gradient of these locations. A lot of water comes across Southeast Main Street, kind of goes down through various, it carries over, and, we just spent the better part of this evening talking about stormwater issues. So my concern is about stormwater. it was my understanding from discussion with the chair at the last meeting that because of the way that these lots were subdivided from its principal lot through an A&R process, that the commission should consider these lots on an individual basis.
Right.
I've gone back and done some reading of my own through the DEP regulations. It appears that that's maybe not the case, that that these lots probably should be considered as an aggregate, and that perhaps there should be some stormwater management plans that address these three projects here before the commission. So
Okay.
just want to throw that out there and see what you folks have to say.
Absolutely. I think it's an important consideration, obviously, because, these three lots are close to each other, and we had originally, before they were subdivided, considered them as an aggregate. I don't think it's fair for us to ignore the fact that we know there are multiple lots that are co-located. But we will be doing this process on an individual lot basis. We will be doing the review and the approvals, and the comments will be on an individual lot basis.
And that's fine. I'll continue to make the same comment for the others then.
Okay.
I think if you read through the regulations carefully, that you'll find that this lot was, this particular lot was subdivided now into 13 separate lots.
Okay.
So that triggers a certain amount of activity in terms of stormwater management. Design-wise. And so what I'm looking for.
Not 13.
What's that?
I'm sorry, name and address for the meeting?
Frank Noel, Grafton, Mass.
Okay.
So there's been two separate approval not required plans that were submitted through the planning board, Douglas, and approved. They've been reported at the registry of deeds. So now there's, what was one lot is now 13. So that statement is accurate. So what I'm looking for is that that the plans include some calculation for the water, surface waters that would be contributing off of those lots by virtue of these activities.
Okay.
Again, I think it's, look through the verbiage, it'll indicate that a stormwater management plan is required.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, if Jason could address that, because I know we looked into that because of Mr. Justin's comments.
Okay.
It's not true. Jason, you hear me?
A little bit.
Jason, the question was, or the comment was that we should evaluate the stormwater because there's multiple lots in this case. So it is my understanding from the board that we have to evaluate these lots independently. But the comment was that, because there are multiple lots that are co-located, that were considered together, whether or not you considered stormwater management for the lots as an aggregate.
I mean, our understanding had always been that in situations like this with, you're not creating a roadway, a new roadway, it's not a subdivision. Traditional subdivision with roadway and the drainage associated with that, being evaluated. These have always been reviewed on an individual basis.
Okay.
Was there, DEP hasn't formally commented, but I thought was the DEP comment on
Yes,
that?
they did.
On that at all to you, to the consultant?
And we're still coordinating on that. We have reached out to DEP for some kind of further clarification, but again, that's traditionally how it's been handled. There's also, what we have here is 3 lots. Right. The comment that was coming from DEP was that, from the review or the comment that came through was that you had, up to 4 lots. So we're looking for some further clarification on that, but, with the 3 lots that we have, they can be looked at on an individual basis.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be interested to see what feedback you get from the DEP.
Okay.
Madam Vice Chair, if I could just add, just a response to the commentary.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think if you think about it from a practical standpoint, the existence or non-existence of a way should really have no influence whatsoever on the regulation of the Protection Act. If you look at the regulations, they're agnostic to it. They don't say, well, if you use the A&R sections of general law, then all of a sudden you don't have to worry about these things. It just says, you know, if you have so many lots, this is what you do. So anyway, I'll reserve any further commentary, but you know, I think it would be wise to just check in with the DEP, see what they have to say about which path to go forward with.
Thank you. Any other comments on this one?
Yeah, I don't think that it's our jurisdiction. It's under our perusal to review stormwater off of a single-family lot. I also, you know, disappointed when developers come to us piecemeal with one lot, another lot, another lot, when the plan is for whatever. With roads, it's the roads that I'm most concerned about as to what the stormwater issues are going to be from that. And it appears to me like there's going to be a road next to this lot that's going to be developed. So that's what's going to really impact stormwater.
Fair.
May I ask a question about that stormwater?
Absolutely.
Say it's February, right? And we have 4 feet of frost, and we get a heat wave and it rains 2 inches. Where does the water go? It can't go through frost, it can't go through pavement. Where does it go?
It runs off.
Exactly, where it always been for thousands of years. He's a mile and a half away. I don't know how one lot is going to affect his 100 acres. I really don't, but that's his prerogative.
So, I mean, it's a math thing, right?
Yeah, and that's just why we calculate non-permeable surfaces.
And the comment from the last meeting was, well, they're going to handle their water. And I'm saying to you guys, just show the calculations and they're going to handle the water. That's all.
Understood? Understood. Keep. I'll entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for...
Continue the public hearing till August 17th.
Motion made by Mark.
Second.
Seconded by Jim. Roll call vote.
Eric Gardner. Jim Voronoi. Mike Rocco, aye.
August what?
August 21st, right? Yeah.
21st, I'm sorry. I had 17th.
That's what I heard in my head was the 21st, so. Thank you. All right, the next one. 13. 13. Which is 279 Southeast Main Street, Lot 2, Map 260, Lot 13. So Jason, did you have changes to this one as well?
Yeah, so this is Lot 2. There were some flag changes on this one based on the review with Ecotech. Included flags H153, H156, and H157. So we have shifted the location of those on the plan. We're showing the the former location as well, and we've adjusted the associated buffers, offsets. In addition, We added a spot grade at the roadway and adjusted grading to ensure stormwater is not directed into the roadway. We pulled in the limited disturbance and the erosion control at the driveway, the southeast corner, and at the back of the lot, as was discussed at the last hearing. We added the deck and stairs to the structure for reference, and we did the same update with the plan where we expanded the viewport and showed more, basically the entire site, and made the flags more visible. We also included the same overall plan for all 3 lots.
Okay.
So I think there was less going on with this lot. We're outside of the riparian zone. We are within 100 feet, but we are greater than 50 with our limited disturbance, and more so in other areas. So this one had a little less going on with it, besides the wetland flag changes, which were adjusted.
Okay. Just, to understand this space, what is lot 13 in between this, the kind of wide spacing in between there that looks like a roadway? Is that property is also owned by New Sherburne?
The piece that looks like a roadway?
Yes.
Yeah, that's access to the back portion.
The remaining space. Okay. So is that considered a separate lot?
It's part of a separate lot. It's not a right-of-way yet.
Okay.
The anticipation is that would be part of a right-of-way, part of a subdivision design with everything that's associated with that. But as it currently stands, it is just a lot.
It is just a separate lot. So no, I'm making sure that I understand like the setbacks. So you're setbacking from there because that's an expected property line.
Well, yeah, it is a property line.
It is a property line. Okay.
Jen's on vacation, but this is it's not official, but the DEP gave comments to, I think, to Jason. We were CC'd on it.
Okay. All right. No, I appreciate that.
I didn't see it in the package, that's why.
I didn't have it, no. I also, didn't have, when did we get this? Oh, we've had this for a little while. So the NOIs have no stormwater reports or checklists that were included in the submittals. Based on the information we have, there's 3 lots that are part of a housing development consisting of 5 more units and therefore required to comply with Massachusetts stormwater standards. The A&R plan, which is filed with the Worcester Registry of Deeds, suggests the possibility of developing rear portions of the lot due to the presence of maintained frontage for the rear parcel. How stormwater design is accomplished for the proposed or future frontage lot, whether on a lot-by-lot basis or incorporated into an overall development plan for the rear of the parcel, is up to you. I assume she's addressing Jason, Mr. Clough in this case. However, the apparent intent and size of the project, including the 9 frontage lot, places squarely within the realm of a stormwater review. It should be noted the riverfront area and other resource area impacts assessed with the housing development will be reviewed holistically for the parent parcel, not on a lot-by-lot basis. So, that's the note from the DEP. Jason, is that understood? You have that? Okay, great. All right. With that being said, are there any other comments on this lot?
I don't know, sorry, Madam Chair, just again, because the way that the public hearings are being held, just want to convey for the record a copy of my previous comments.
Okay. Understood. Thank you. I will entertain a motion to continue this to the August 21st meeting.
So moved.
Motion made by Mike,
Second.
seconded by Jim. Roll call vote.
Jim Farr, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Mungum, aye.
Thank you. Item number 14, public hearing continued for 283 Southeast Main Street.
Okay, so with this lot, which is lot 3, we also had some wetland flag changes, and this had a little bit more of an impact to the site layout than on lot 2. The flag changes were, there's some additional flags that were added. Each 136B, C, and D were added between H136 and H137. This is in the vicinity of Southeast Main Street, jutted out a little bit further. And as a result, we had to adjust the limit of disturbance for the driveway connection to Southeast Main Street. We maintained 12 feet to the wetlands on either side, but it basically positioned the driveway kind of straddling where the 25-foot buffers at the pinch point near the roadway. In addition to that, we added notation regarding combination silt fence straw wattle where the limited disturbance is less than 25 feet. We added the 25-foot buffer line. We added deck and front stairs to the house. And we updated the plan view to expand the viewport, show more of the site and the wetland areas and make the wetland flags more visible. And again, the overall plan showing the 3 lots, 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
What are the wetland flag changes again? I'm sorry.
Wetland flag changes were an addition of 3 flags between flags each 136 and 137.
Oh, okay.
There were 3 flags that were added, each 136 B, C, and D.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So now the front of the driveway is within the 25 foot because the 25 feet lines touch each other at the end.
Yes.
So I see a proposed 524 grading line on the plan between the roadway and the house, and then I don't see another one until the road, and there's a 524 again, right where the 25-foot wetland buffer zones come together. So what's happening in that area there? What is that grade?
Well, there's a 524 on the street. I think we're going to, come in a little bit of a low point to push the water to the west.
I'd want to know where that water's going, because if you say the street's 524, and the last contour on the plan is, proposed contour is 524, what's in between? Is it higher or lower?
There's 524, there's a little bit of a mountain there, but cutting through that with the driveway. We can add some additional detail on that, but we're gonna keep the water from going out into the street and push it,
Yeah, if you could just show that with some spot grades.
Yep.
Are there any drainage swales? I mean, the road's probably crowned, so it pushes the water to the edges. Are there any drainage pipes under the driveway or swales at the side of the road? I mean, I know you're not showing a pipe, so you're obviously not thinking it needs one, but how does the water get past the driveway?
I think the game plan would be that, you know, the driveway would come off of the road and follow the grade and you know, have a low point and then come back up. So it would, you know, runoff would run across the driveway there.
Okay. The driveways aren't staked by chance, are they? The center points of the driveways, where they enter the road?
I don't believe so. I mean, but at this point, this one would have shifted because of the wetland flags. There's a wetland flag, you know, a fresh wetland flag there now, H 136, which is probably about 25 feet from the center line of the driveway.
Is there a chance that could be done?
Stake out the center lines of the driveways?
This one especially, yes. Oh, is that a pole? It's a pole. So I was thinking it was.
Yeah, that's something that could be done.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
The others have the poles on them too, right? The other two plants?
Yeah, you get poles on all of them, right, Jason? Utility
Sorry,
pole? You have utility pole numbers on all the plans they can use for reference markers?
Utility poles. I mean, there's utility poles noted on this plan here for lot 3.
I can see them on the other ones.
Between poles 90 and 91.
Yeah, they're on the other ones.
We've got a septic tank for the dwelling on this plan is inside of the 50-foot. Can we move that out of the 50-foot?
We could move it down near where the leach field is. That's like 150 feet or so down the way.
Could, or you could shrink the house.
Well, that's just a tank, right? It's not the,
It's just a tank.
they need to service it too, don't they?
I assume.
I mean, we can move the tank down to near where the field is.
Well, I mean, to Steve's point, how are you going to service it there?
Well, it's located, well, my point is it's locating in the disturbed lawn area anyways, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so this is, so actually there's a whole space, this is all clear, there's a whole space of disturbed lawn to get out to the sewage area. What are you doing in lots like this, and I guess I could ask the same of the other two, to preserve kind of the edge of disturbance? To make sure that future owners aren't disturbing further into the wetland area?
In areas that were of concern, there could be some buffer markers installed to, show where that limited disturbance is. If there's specific areas that the commission would like to see that could be done. In some areas we're fairly far away. In other areas we're closer, like right up to the 25-foot line.
Right, yeah, no, I wouldn't put it everywhere, but I'm thinking in some of those areas, particularly where it narrows in the backyard, and it's particularly where the driveway comes up to the front, you might want to consider something like boulders or a split rail fence. I wouldn't put it everywhere, because I think that would be overkill. I'm okay with plantings too, I think that the little signs don't do anything.
Okay, fair enough.
Anything else?
Just copy my comments.
Okay.
Thank you.
Board will entertain the motion to continue to August 21st.
So moved.
Motion made by Mike.
Second.
Seconded by Eric. Roll call vote.
Jim Farn, aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mark Monjum, aye.
All right, thank you. Excellent. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Well, there was one.
Oh, go ahead.
There was one about the Chapter 61 land.
Oh, thank you. Absolutely.
Given by Mapinoy. I think it's underneath your,
Yep, I have it. So did this go to open space?
I don't know. It was just, the email was just forwarded to send it to the chair.
Not that we have to listen to open space. I know Tracy reminds me that we don't need to do what open space says, but I would like to have heard their recommendation.
He was out sick today, so I saw the email to forward to Tracy, and she said you were taking over, so I printed out, gave it.
Yeah. I appreciate it. I mean, I don't have,
I guess it's on this parcel we're talking about now. Might be. I don't know too much of the particulars.
there are 9 lots withdrawn from Chapter 61A. Oh, so they're here. So, did we get a map of these lots?
I'd have to
Not
talk to
yet.
Mapinoy.
Okay. Yeah, I have a really hard time making a recommendation without having these located on a map.
Yeah, that's fair. Means nothing to see like this, but.
I mean, I could go look it up, right? I mean, I
we
can go
got it
figure
April
out
5th.
where these are.
I'm thinking August 5th, April 5th.
No, that's what I'm, yeah, so this wasn't forwarded to us, and we could have gone and looked it all up, for sure, that's fair, but this is the first time I'm seeing, so, I'm not gonna make a recommendation on this tonight. I'd like to know what open space said, and I'd like to see the lots.
Hey, Mike Noel, Mass State, the selectmen requested that we put that on the same scale as the assessors maps. That's what we did, so that was back in the end of April.
Okay, so you did it.
So I don't know why you got.
I just don't have it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. So we'll find it.
I'll have Matt come to the next, Matt recommend he comes to the next meeting, and explain.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. No, I mean, this is long ago. Wouldn't be surprised that the whole process was properly followed and done. I don't have it. So, all right.
Did you get my email today? Did you get my email today?
I got a bunch of, I didn't get it, I saw it briefly.
Okay.
Did we,
Okay. I will continue to entertain that motion, by the way.
to adjourn?
The one for adjourning.
You want to adjourn?
Move to adjourn?
Motion made by Mike,
Yes.
Second.
seconded by Jim. Roll call vote.
I got some stuff to sign.
Yeah.
Jim Foran, aye.
Mike
Greco, aye.
Thank you.